I mean, we could see. Here's the thing: is that you don't edit every episode,
right?
And all someone needs is a little bit of time and a mission, and they'd be able to get you to say anything. So
right? No, I know. Well, they could do that even with the cut stuff we have. Just about, I'm sure. Like anything that makes it out on the internet would probably get us. Well, not get any of us fired.
My voice is my password. Please identify me.
Oh, Jesus, a sneakers reference. Wow.
Hey, we got an opening. All right.
In the beginning, there was SNAFU, and it was good.
And then we all
rested on Sunday.
This is later
deemed to be a bad idea, but we'll go through with it anyway.
That too.
Nice little Douglas Adams reference there. Well done.
Someone caught it. Thank you.
Yeah, Pat's on a roll tonight with the references, man. Sneakers, Douglas Adams, you're killing it.
Sneakers, yeah. I don't know if that's
Sunday night.
it.
I've had a good weekend to rest.
SNAFU. Situation normal. All fouled up. This is SNAFU.
All right. Welcome to another episode of SNAFU. I'm your host, Rick. With me tonight is the whole gang. Say hi, Dale.
Hey, everybody.
Pat.
Evening or afternoon, depending when you're listening, I guess.
We can't time shift this for everyone. And then Jeff. Ooh. Probably not a frosty beer, but that's my guess. Seeing the picture
Hopefully
from...
it's switch to a diet Mountain Dew.
It sounded like...
ding, like Pat's the winner.
Yeah, it sounded like a diet Mountain Dew.
I did see the picture from last night. It's like your Friendsgiving thing, and I'm like, Jesus, you guys drink like 18 diet or Mountain Dews amongst the two of you in the one corner.
We killed the hell out of that. That was a problem.
I was like, they don't drink beer or wine. They just drink Mountain Dew.
Yeah, that's
very
accurate.
Very gamerish. All right. Well, we're post Operation SNAFU, so we're all probably getting more sleep, right?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of. Okay.
I'm not as stressed about the shit you guys aren't getting done. So
well, fair. Now you don't care about it. You won't care about it again for like another 6 months, and then you'll start caring again.
We'll give you 4 months before we worry about it.
Oh, all right, 4 months. Next. All right, okay, wonderful. Well, so we did. So Pat, you ran Recon Rumble, and we all chipped in on Operation SNAFU this last couple weeks. It's been 2 weeks now. It's kind of blurred after
2 weeks
that.
ago.
2 weeks ago already.
Yeah,
because we had the whole holiday.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. There's a holiday in there, and
Yep.
That does help. So, I think we're just going to forego hobby at this point because I think I took a break. I don't know about you guys. Probably not. None of you guys take breaks.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
No. I've done more hobby since SNAFU than I had in like the 6 months leading up to it.
Oh my God, you're freaking killing me.
Well, if you don't count World of Warcraft as a hobby, and I wasn't, so.
Got a point.
Yeah.
It's a hobby, but it's not a very constructive, like you don't get anything painted in return for it.
No, it's just time spent with my wife.
Yeah,
so.
that counts. That's
a
good for
right
something.
There,
yeah.
Relationship building. You guys should try it out. I recommend it.
Yeah, if I can get my wife
Dale's
to play
rep grinding his wife. It's all good.
It is.
Oh, jeez.
I'm getting close to exalted. The interesting thing was on Friday I got a text from my wife, and I've since SNAFU, I've been trying to like do something related to this hobby, miniatures, bolt action, that kind of thing, every night. Just try to get something done. And on Friday she texted me. She's like, I miss you. We need to do something together. So I'm like, oh, all right. I still got a little bit of hobby done that night, which is cool.
Very nice.
Okay, thanks.
So, didn't you actually go back to the site of Operation SNAFU then?
Yeah, that hotel
Plaza?
is near where we live, and we really like that place, and so I just picked up a room there, and she likes to sit and watch television in the hotel for some reason. And I took the Soviet book, and then the German soldier versus Soviet soldier from Osprey Publishing, and read through that while she was watching. I don't even know what it was, so
Fun.
Just doing a little bit of research for an upcoming project. So
Rock on.
Yeah. All right. So let's start. I guess Thursday night. That's where it all started for most of you. I stopped in for a second, but basically set up on Thursday night.
Yeah, Thursday night we set up, and I was settling in for the long haul. I was afraid it was going to be like 3 hours of setup, but we had Pim, who was obviously in town early from across the pond, so to speak, and then some other small rivers and stuff. And one of our club mates came down, and the setup went really fast, I thought. I think we were done in like less than an hour. Does that sound about right, Jeff?
It was really quick, yeah.
Yeah, I think you texted me at like I think it was 8:30, 9 o'clock. You're like, "Are you coming?" And I'm like, "I figured you guys would still be working on stuff." But as it was, that was totally fine. I mean, it meant I didn't have to do any extra work. So, like, you just handed off the packets and the table tent stuff, and you guys called it a night.
Yeah.
So special thanks to Pim and Eric for helping us do that setup. That was awesome, guys. Thank you.
Yep. I'm going to throw in my wife came in and helped set up some of my tables, so I'm not complaining.
Cool. Yeah, you guys went to dinner.
I learned a great trick is if you take a picture of your setup table and print it off and put it in there, then you can just hand it to anybody and they're going to get pretty close to setting it up. So there's a pro tip for you.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like we've been TOs for longer than we really have been. I think we've learned from some experts in the field.
Yeah. Stand on the shoulders of giants and semi-giants.
I don't know. Sure. So that's
and some of you are still taller than me even when I do that.
All right. So that's Thursday. I mean, nothing spectacular there. I think we all kind of called it as soon as we were done. Once you guys got all your stuff done, I dropped my stuff off and you guys all took off and we all left and went home for the night. And then Friday morning is what? What happened Friday?
Friday we did the Recon Rumble.
Sweet.
So this was that small 700-point 8-order dice. Basically armored platoon without allowing you to have tanks.
Or majors or a bunch of other stuff too, right? Or
no artillery. Basically anything that you had to stuff that was mobile. And the kind of inspiration was taken from I think Jeff had run one of our little campaign things where it was just kind of like a scouting mission, and basically if it couldn't fit in a truck, you couldn't bring it with you. So that was kind of the theme for putting that together, and the concept was just kind of fast, quick games, and the scenarios were written to move pretty fast, and they're only 90 minutes long.
Yeah, which we'll get into it in a minute. But so, like, I saw this format rolling around in other places too at the same time. Was that something you came up with and like people copied, or was this something that we kind of had seen around? Because I know I saw it somewhere else. I've
seen different styles of it. Like Adepticon does what they call combat patrol, but theirs is still different. And depending which year you go, they kind of changed it up a little bit. I think Jeremy Williams is the one who runs that stuff out there. And I forget what his format is this year, but yeah, basically the whole concept is you're a small, fast-moving force trying to just take care of stuff quickly. They're meant to be short tournaments instead of, the all day long sort of thing. Like I know the one that's at Adepticon this year is 6 hours from like 5:30 to 11:30 at night.
Jeez. Okay.
And that's
the only reason I asked is like I saw almost like, and I'm pretty sure it was the identical format on Facebook. Like, so I'm guessing that came from us because somebody was, I won't call it complaining, but just asking what people thought of the format. And it was not someone I recognized. That's why I was asking, because I'm pretty sure this is just straight Recon Rumble, and I didn't know if this is something you had dreamt up or like you've derived from something, I suppose. But okay.
Well, the one thing I did is had the everyone must have a ride or forward deploy, and that was just taken out of the Tank Wars. Right. I don't think the other type formats have necessarily had that particular requirement in there.
Okay. Cool.
And the main reason was I was trying to really kind of push people into taking those armored transports and then throwing that bonus rule in there saying that small arms didn't do pins to guys riding in armored transports.
Which
we like.
Which is pretty rad, actually. I think that should be a new rule.
Hint, hint.
To anyone that might be listening to us. Yeah. If it comes, we'd love to see it. All right. So let's go through the scenario. So you guys, when you guys set up, you didn't set up all the tables. There were some hidden tables for Operation SNAFU that weren't out. So
yep.
So we kind of kept it just to the outsides of the room for the day. And Jeff graciously let me play in the whole thing instead of having to like switch off or ringer one way or the other. So I got to play in this thing, which was actually really fun. So let's walk through the scenarios then, because the scenarios actually were fun. I would say I had a good time with all of them.
Well, good. The first one we did, this one I kind of made up and changed off of something Jeff had done that we run at SNAFU last year and this year. So when I titled it, they call it Atmospherics, and I had found on Thingiverse some little paratrooper little transmission station type things that they used in World War II that I think was done by Dewey Cat. I seem to gravitate towards a lot of his stuff since it's pretty cool. Printed off a bunch of those. I had 2 per table, and they're about 18 inches apart on the center line, and you had to be in contact with that in order to get like victory points during the round. So you got 1 point if you had unit in contact with it at the end of round 2, 2 points at the end of round 4, and 4 points at the end of the game, which would be round 6.
Okay.
So it's kind of I kind of broke it up so I can't through a little story behind it. Paratroopers are en route, and the weather is making it difficult to identify the terrain. They'll be relying on the signal beacons in this area. Troops nearby will have to manually activate the transmitters while there's a break in the conditions. Timing will be critical. So that's kind of where, at round 2, the conditions were right. You could get part of your transmission off, and they could zero in. So that was kind of the little story I kind of built up behind that. So I do also want to point out, just I thought of it right now, that we had to do a Swiss pairing format for that this year because we had 2 Axis players. Due to drops, we had all the Axis players basically dropped. And it seemed really unfair to just really hammer on those guys. I mean, we had a couple Soviets, and we had some guys who said, I can switch too if you want to. And I'm like, you know what, let's just do best versus best and see what happens. So we did change up the format a little bit.
Quite honestly, 3 guys switching sides would have probably not been enough anyway. So, well, it would have been kind of close, I guess.
It would have been kind of close, and we could have thrown Jeff's German list in there too.
There you go. Yeah, instead of my Americans, it could have been Germans, very easily.
But Jeff and I really wanted you to play, Rick.
I could have played with the Germans. It probably would have been better. Quite honestly.
Yeah, well, how did you end up doing?
1 and 2. 1 win, 2 losses. If anything was not a buffalo, it would have been just fine because that buffalo.
Rick, you finished much, 7 out of 10.
All right, that's better than expected. The only win I got off of, and sorry, Brian, it was against the Norwegians. So,
who didn't finish last? I would just like to point out.
That's all good.
I'll say about that.
Okay, well, who finished first? That's the important part of that one. Let's go through the scenarios instead.
Yeah, let's not gild the lily all the way on that one.
Yeah, fair. All right. So
that was scenario 1.
Yep.
And then scenario 2, this one is a modified one that one of our listeners had sent to me. He said it's just kind of a fun one, so don't really think of it's competition. I said, well, let's look at this and see if we can make a competition. I titled this one "Those Aren't Duds," and I had gotten some bombs from Dewey Cat, I'm sure, little Thingiverse, little bombs in a crater that I printed off, 2 of them per table, and those were the objectives. These were bombs, and the narrative behind this was Intel has discovered that a proximity bomb fuses were lost during transportation. Your team has been tasked with disabling the bombs and recovering the proximity fuses. So these 2 were set up along the center line. They were only 12 inches apart. This is going to be a pretty serious engagement one. You had to have a dismounted unit in base contact with the objective, and they had to pass a fire order, regardless if they had pins or not. And if they did, then they got the fuse, and then they could move away or hand it off once to another unit. If they failed, then it went off with a 4-inch HE placed over the center of the objective. So whoever was around that took a 4-inch pie plate to the face.
Ouch.
Which I did see happen at least once. So I was pretty excited about that.
So this is where the buffalo killed me, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
So I'm playing Luke and his Germans, and I move the buffalo up to contest both of them, and I'm going to unpile guys like literally the next turn.
Oh, I can see where the server is going.
Yeah, and I literally one pin on the damn thing. and it decides to test, and then runs away. So it backs up, 9 inches. I had run it the first turn, backed it up 9 inches, and I'm like, well, it's not going to do that again, right? So I didn't pile the guys up like I should have. Did it again. Literally backed it up to the freaking table edge again. And by this time, Luke had already grabbed both of them and hid them behind a train car, and I couldn't get anywhere near them. It was really fun.
Wah, wah.
I was like, no, it's not possible that it'll do it twice. Sure as shit it did. So I'm like, I got nothing, Luke. Just
You shouldn't put all your guys in one buffalo.
no, and I didn't.
You did that in some testing too, and kind of had that same or similar result.
So the way I was running it, I had 2 units in the buffalo and 1 unit in the truck, and wherever the small team stuff went, wherever it fit, it didn't really matter. That was just more kind of like where I thought I was going to need it when. Mm-hmm. But so yeah, I needed to have 2 units in the truck because they both wouldn't fit in the, or they would. Sorry, I'd have 2 units in the duck or the buffalo because they wouldn't both fit inside the truck.
Sure.
So I had to figure that out. But anyway, so yeah, the truck would come. The truck came up, but by that point, the buffalo had backed away. So I was like, well, okay, this 1 unit's going to do what? And so he got out, and then they got their face melted by a bunch of Germans with LMGs and stuff. And so I tried to contest it, and it was just not enough. So it was well played on his part, figuring out how to do it without, he used snap to action to get both of them away within relative ease. So, yeah, it is what it is. But anyway, so that was my experience with Scenario 2.
Yeah, that was the one thing that once per turn you could pass the fuse to another friendly unit that was 1 inches away, but you had a chance of it blowing up and doing D3 hits to both units. And that was, that was kind of my thought on getting it away faster, although some people read between the lines and were like, well, hey, it says unit, it doesn't say infantry unit, so they're throwing it to their cav unit and they're throwing it on their transport. And I'm like, that's why it says unit, but that's not fair. No, he's just going to hide the rest of the game. I said, you shouldn't have let him get it.
Yeah, kind of exactly what happened. So it is what it is. And no matter what happened or what I did, it wasn't going to change anything in that game. Like, everything decided to go pear-shaped on me. I was like, yep, that was a good win for him.
Sure.
And he was my best game opponent, or best vote for the best game of the week. And
we usually keep it a secret, but never mind, I guess.
I don't know. Luke is an awesome guy. I like playing against him. It was a good game, and he knew like.
If that was your favorite game, that's cool.
Yeah. No, it was. Well,
your favorite game is the one where your buffalo backed up.
Well, that's every game.
Well, I guess it's tough. It's tough to pick out of those.
Right.
I think there's some fine tuning that can be done with the scenario. This is the first time I ran it live, and there were some people who had some serious heartburn, and some people who laughed hysterically the whole time. I thought it was great, and actually, oddly enough, that was one of the tables that had the bomb blow up, and like both units were really close to it, and they each got lost like a whole bunch of guys and got pins everywhere, and like that was great. That's just freaking cool. Like, well, good. I wish more of them had blown up. Maybe next time you have to take a test at a -3 or something just to try and get more of them to blow up.
The easy way whenever it moves is the easier switch. Just whenever the bomb moves, it's going to take a test.
Well, the thing is that you're not taking the bomb. You're removing the proximity fuse from
it. Make them take the bomb.
Make them take the bomb. Sure.
Yeah. Screw taking the fuse. You want the whole thing.
Set them up the bomb.
Yeah, it's like couple of prototypes. Like we need the science.
Yeah, I mean, why does it make any more sense than when you pass it off, it blows up?
Well, because that's still there's actually an explosion that detonates the main fuse in a bomb is how they work.
Right. No, I understand how a bomb works, but I'm saying why is it that when they move it doesn't matter, but when you hand it to someone else, because if it's not the bomb, it's still just the fuse. Like, it's a primer, but it still blow someone up, I guess, but wouldn't be the same size. Just make them take the bomb.
All right, and then they can only move like 3 inches.
Well, no. If they move more than X inches, that way it takes them longer to get away, but they can risk going farther, at a chance to get away more quickly, but that increases the likelihood that it might prematurely detonate.
Hang on, I'm getting a pen. This is good stuff.
For every inch they move, it's -1 on the roll, or +1 on the roll, whichever way you want to go.
They're going to be crawling their way away with it.
I'm pretty sure you're not going to throw it in a truck or a cav unit and go running away then, are you?
Probably not, unless they have really good suspension. But I hear most World War II trucks did not have suspension. I don't know. Maybe they did, but I don't think they did. No. Can't imagine they were very comfortable.
No.
Getting a little jostled in the back there. All right, so that's scenario 2.
That was scenario 2, and then scenario 3 was. This was envelopment, except for I turned the deployment zones 90 degrees, so you went short edge to short edge.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just basically envelopment. And so the thought going is when this was going to be, red versus blue, is that whatever side was winning was going to have to be the attacker on this one, because this kind of scenario does favor the defender quite a bit. So it was a chance for the two sides to get closer, but that didn't happen. Who knows? It might happen again. It is one of my more favorite scenarios to play. I called it Battle Through the Pass, named after anyone who's remembered playing Warhammer Fantasy. That was one of the big things they had. The intel is secure. It's time to get information home. Unfortunately, there's a pocket of enemy troops between you and your relatives safely. Fight your way around or through them. So that was scenario 3.
All right.
Which was fun for me as well. No, I mean it was. I won't say it. I played.
Delete sarcasm button. Go.
Yeah, right.
It's been a long weekend, guys. Sorry. No, so I ended up playing Jason Myers from what is it? Battlefield North. Is that what is what he does with this thing? Yeah, that sounds right. In his Italians, and of course the Italians get some special rules in an attack defender scenario. So he ended up getting a defender, and that made it for a very difficult fight. And again, my Buffalo backed up, I think, twice that game. So I literally feeding my army piecemeal to people was really fun, and it was the theme of the weekend, or the theme of Friday at least. Just basically, here, have my truck, and then my units. I think it did kill his tank, but that's the only thing I killed. So
you couldn't have had a tank.
No, his Auto Blinda. Sorry, his armor car. Yeah,
there you go. Wait a minute, I didn't see a tank.
Yeah, no, it definitely did not have a tank. It felt like a tank when you're like, I can't do anything over here to save my life. But yeah, basically, it didn't.
Armor cars are supposed to feel like tank in that format.
Oh, and it scared me a lot, and I took care of it as quick as I could, but it was literally the only thing I was able to do to basically break through his lines.
I was surprised how very few people took anti-tank rifles. I mean, this is like the prime scenario for anti-tank rifles. The heaviest armor you're going to see on the board is an 8+, and that would be very rare.
Yeah.
Because anti-tank rifles are great transport blower-uppers.
Yep.
I just wonder how many people actually have them painted, and that's maybe why they didn't take them. I don't know. I took a bazooka. A bazooka is a lot more expensive, but...
That would wreck a transport as well.
It wrecks things when it hits it. Yeah, no, it does does its job just fine. So
you're supposed to take 2 on a Jeep, I hear.
Yeah, I would have been hot if I had remembered to paint them or something. I don't know if they use those in the specific.
They did not. No.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
To the best of my knowledge.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like something that they would be dude. A Jeep would get stuck in there. Drive it 10 feet and be stuck in the muck somewhere. So. Yeah. Okay. So
that was the scenarios. We had one other, other than your victory conditions and scenarios, we had some secondary objective cards, which I had alluded to. And what these were, you had 5 of them for the 3 games, and you at the beginning, before the first turn, you chose one of the 5, and you put it face down on the table, and your opponents did the same thing, and you were attempting to get that secondary objective of that game. Whether you succeeded or failed, you couldn't ever attempt that one again. And if you succeeded on it, you got the 2 or 3 points, depending on what it was. So, and for Recon Rumble, they were charge, execute at least 3 assault orders that would get you 2 points. Grenades in the top, destroy an armored open-top vehicle in an assault, would get you 2 points. Halt reinforcements, destroy a transport with troops on board, would get you another 2 points. And then we've got lead from the front. Have your officer at the end of the game within 12 inches of the opponent's table edge. And the last one, that was 3 points. And then the last one also worked 3 points, was take them alive, and that's win an assault against an opponent's officer. So these were, when you have 3 games, and even though you still have major win, major loss sort of scenarios, you need something else to kind of make up the difference for the people who seem to gravitate towards the top. And so that's what I had. It was a little confusing at first, but I think eventually everyone figured out how to use it.
Cool.
Yeah, I talking to some of the guys afterwards. I think that idea of the secret objectives was really went off super well. So I think, I like that, and it also, and it's one of those things that gives each of the players agency in their games, and adds that extra little bit of layer, which is great, so they can control or have a little bit more control over their own scoring. And sometimes when things are just going really poorly, that one card's there. Objective. Yeah, that one card can kind of keep someone from walking out of a game like, I just had no chance, kind of a thing. So that was really well done.
I saw one player throwing his officer several times into, it must have been it was a Jeep or something like that. Tried to assault it, failed. Tried to assault it, failed. And I'm like, oh, he's going for the 3. And sure enough, he did. That was the one thing he got. So, yeah, it's kind of fun. And you know what they are, but you don't necessarily know what your opponent's tried before he played you or what he saved for after you. And they did have some different point variations. So expect this to kind of, increase exponentially a little bit, because I think it's a really great makeup mechanic, and it's a good way to differentiate, I got 3 major wins. Yeah, but did you also do this? Crap, no, I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So
I liked them a lot, although I will say they were like icing on the cake for me as far as hey, things can go wrong, and it would be like, I put my lieutenant in the Buffalo, and then it decided to run away when I needed to get him into the deployment zone. So it was constantly everything that you could think would happen was exactly the opposite. Or I think the first game, the dude had, I think Brian had 4 trucks, 3 trucks, 4 trucks. He had a lot of trucks, and I'm like, okay, he's going to leave a couple units in the trucks. He didn't leave a single one in the trucks, and I'm like, damn it, I can't shoot or kill any of your trucks with stuff inside it anymore. You just literally emptied everything right away, at the edge of the table. He didn't wait to get out or anything. I was like, that's the way it goes. So
yeah, he must have been afraid that you might have been trying to play that objective.
It's possible that he thought of it.
Look at scoring here, Rex. It doesn't look like you actually achieved any.
No, I did not. No, like I said, I think the one, I figured, I'm like, I should easily be able to kill a transport with a unit inside it. It doesn't matter what the unit is. I was hoping he'd get a unit back in the truck just so I could blow it up. But I won that game. Did you
go so far as to ask him?
No, I didn't.
Because Brian's a good enough guy. He might have actually done that.
Well, that was a pretty decided game. I had been able to hold down 2 of the objectives pretty quickly in that one. Anyway,
you were on table 1 for that one, weren't you?
Yeah. That was a tough table for him.
Dale's. Was that your curse board, Dale, with all the blown up tanks on it?
Yeah, probably.
Lots of people it's beautiful. It's a bugger to play on, though. There's a lot of cover in that board. But,
bugger, really?
What do you want me to say? A pain in the ass? I don't know.
Sorry, I was just thrown off by the cross cultural slang.
I think I've always said that, but anyway, I heard a couple people rumbling about how much cover it is, and I'm like, deal with it. Go play on the trench board.
Yeah. Suck it up.
It evens up. It's the way it works. But
imagine that. War isn't completely fair.
Right. No, imagine that.
Hang on. What was that?
Yeah, exactly.
War's not fair. It's not supposed to be. Otherwise,
they didn't have a chance to ideally pick the battle where it would occur every time.
It wasn't that's Revolutionary War type stuff, though. That they did try and do.
Yes, they did.
They just tried to kill each other, and that was pretty much just a bloodbath for everyone.
Yeah, they just line up and shoot at each other until the other guys stop shooting back.
Right, and that was not a good choice. Anyway,
that's a different game.
It's actually pre-Revolutionary War, typically.
Yeah,
so.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But so, I loved them. I thought it was a really fun variant as far as different things you could do with them. So Yeah, we should continue that. I think that was a fun thing.
I didn't get to play in it, but I got to watch a lot of games, and it looked amazingly fun.
Yeah, you posted a lot of pictures. I appreciated that, by the way.
It turns out I'm really, really horrible at taking pictures of stuff that goes on.
Right, I forget to take pictures because I'm busy chumming it up.
So I was worried about taking pictures of the painted up train we had to get back to some of our sponsors because I wanted them to, like, hey, thanks for, giving us the discount you do so we do this kind of stuff. I want to make sure you get to see this stuff in action and going on. So, because my wife had asked me, like, people at work want to know what this is. Give me some pictures of what's going on. So all I have is, like, close-ups of, like, people near a building and in a trench. She's like, is that one went on? I'm like, I'm sure Jeff will have some better ones.
Yeah.
So, all right, we want to go to results on that one?
Yeah, let's do it.
So this is a red versus blue, and we did do best access, best ally as
Swiss.
well. Sorry, Swiss.
Yeah.
But we did also have best access, best ally. So really, there was
Of the two Axis
players who actually did tie the third place ally player, but also won best painted, and that would have been Jason Meyer playing Italians. So
Nice.
he was the best access player in there.
Yeah,
So
very nice.
he was
So no slouch, mind
Yeah.
you. Again, he tied the other ally player who came in third. So he was no slouch.
okay. So he was up there in the ranks. It's even though.
He was up there in the ranks, and then
Cool.
the best allied player was our friend from way across the farthest traveler I know of that for a tournament, and that was Pim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, awesome.
And so that was a good thing.
So
It was a lot of fun because he was playing the guy who won overall in the last round of the last day because they had same points going into it, and that winner was in fact Dave Caven playing his Americans.
Start of his hot streak. Yeah, he was on a roll.
yeah, no doubt. Yeah, he played was Romanians. Was he playing
Americans.
Romanians?
Yeah, he's
Americans.
playing
Americans
Americans.
for this one. Yeah.
So no Cav, or did he have Cav?
Oh, he had Cav. He found Cav somewhere, I'm sure.
In,
You ever know Dave not to find Cav
I
somewhere?
know.
in an American
book?
list?
I,
I don't think so.
There wasn't in
me-
this one.
it probably wasn't. You need me to go back and find his list? I can do that.
No.
No.
I believe you. I know for a fact that he was playing on the Allied side though, because it came back and he's like, "Wait, dang it, I did that wrong." As we'll,
Yeah, so-
as we'll point out in a second.
As we had alluded to, that the winner of the Recon Rumble was going to have an effect on the first round of Operation SNAFU. And Jeff, what was that exact? Do you remember exactly what that was? Otherwise, I can look it up. here
It
in
was
just
a
a second.
deployment bonus.
And then there was
They got
that.
to
You
pick
got to choose
sides.
your side, yeah.
They got to choose sides, and then there was that bonus move, and they got to decide if they were going to take the bonus move first or second.
Yep.
So Dave won that for the Allies, and then promptly showed up Saturday morning to fight for the Axis.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Whoops.
So, and he was one of the players who kind of knew that, he's playing Romanian, so he's like, one of the guys I had reached out to said, hey, if it comes down to swing armies to balance these, you're one of them that we're going to swing on game day. And they're like, yep, that's cool, that's fine, that's great, we'll do that. And he was one of them, so he's kind of like, well, I guess I don't know, I could be for either. And then, of course, I had the unilateral decision. I'm like, hey, I've got these other people that can swing over to Axis, and Dave, you're one of them. Have fun with that. Or I kept him in the Axis and didn't swing the Allies, one way or the other. But yeah, that was. No one could accuse him of playing or slouching the other tournament to hinder his hinder his opponent's chances the next day, I guess.
Right, he was playing 100% all the time.
And if anyone knows Dave, he doesn't know how to not play to win. That's kind of one of the fun things about playing Dave, is because you can kind of gauge where you are, because he doesn't play soft.
Right.
And he'll happily let you make mistakes. He'll tell you about them 2 or 3 rounds later, but he's happy to let you make them.
Pretty accurate, yeah.
He likes to explore tactics, actually.
He does.
And so it's not a matter of he might look at what you're doing and kind of give you a look like he's not sure what you're doing or what the plan is, but he's intrigued by it, and so it's always kind of he kind of pushes the envelope in a lot of different ways with how he plays. He gives a great game. So
Yep.
I will say when I've played Dave before, and you're making a mistake, he'll let you know you're making a mistake. You're like, let's see how this plays out. He's like, I think you're wrong, but let's do it anyway. And normally I'm wrong, but every time I'm wrong. But it's still like he wants to make sure that he's really like, is this really this is not the right choice to make. Okay, we can move back and do it over again. But no,
those of course are friendly games.
Yeah. That's definitely club
tournament game
games.
Out of him.
No,
Right.
Definitely not. I don't think I'm of caliber to actually end up playing him unless I get him in the first round. So, to be fair, cool.
So that was our Recon Rumble. Oh wait, hang on. We had two other ones. So I already mentioned the fact that Jason won the best painted in there, and then our sportsman went to who you gave your best game vote to Luke.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's really friendly and he plays a good game. And
he got 3 favorite opponent votes. So clearly, the other 2 people that let's see, he beat 2 of his other opponents and lost the first round. So
he beat me, and he beat one other guy.
Yeah,
something like that. I don't remember how it worked out, but anyway, regardless, I thought he played great. He, like I said, he plays a clean game, and he's a good opponent. He's friendly and easy to play a game with. So I had a good time.
Yeah,
I'm glad he got it.
It actually looks like he lost to Dave in round 1.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
And then beat you, and then beat somebody else. So
okay.
I just want to throw in there.
Apparently, Dave gave him his best game vote too, because he got 3 of them. So
yeah. I just have to throw in there on the best painted one before I forget. Somebody who didn't actually play received a vote.
yes. Someone did
one.
turn in a vote for Jeff's army, who he brought in there in case it was needed. Someone gave him a vote for it. Yes, Jeff, it looked very nice.
Jeff may have paid for it, but no. I think he was like sitting there talking. Was that Josh that?
Yeah,
gave
that
you
was
his
Josh.
Vote? Yeah,
that was Josh who gave him.
Josh's son Josh let his son vote, and his son was like, "I like this army. I want to vote for this one. What's your name?" And I was like, "Sure."
Yeah, no, it was. I do like your army, Jeff.
Kid likes animags. What can I say?
I think someone actually tried to put down Josh's son for favorite opponent because he kept pulling the order dice for the other guy the entire time and stuff like that.
Nice.
So.
Awesome.
By the way, very cool when people do bring their kids to try and get them exposed to this hobby and do that kind of stuff. That's awesome. I always enjoy to see that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least get them into the community and understand what it's like. So
yeah,
I think that's. I mean, so this is totally off topic, but Dale.
We never do that here.
Well, I mean, it's on topic of Renegade, but so we used to travel for tournaments for Warhammer Fantasy long ago, and one of the tournaments we'd go to was Lady of the Lake, which is in North Minnesota in Duluth, and it was a good time, but it was pretty low key, smaller established tournament. But we'd also go to we traveled the area, so there was one in Waupaca, Wisconsin, which is in the middle of nowhere, Wisconsin. I don't think they're offended
actually
if I
it's
say
just
that.
south of nowhere, Wisconsin.
Yeah, fair, just south of there. You're right. But there was a dad there, and he'd bring his young son. And I think every tournament I would go to, I would play Carl, and he would beat me. And this is where the joke came from. Of I'd always end up playing the kids and the girls, and lose to them. So Carl is no longer a kid. He's like, how old is he, Dale? He's got to be. He might even be able to drink now.
No, I think he's still a teenager, but maybe a senior in high school now.
Yeah, he's grown up a lot.
He's almost as tall as I am, so it's quite remarkable to see him.
Yeah, so it was just a real funny, like, that's the kind of thing we remember from way back when, and he's still doing it with his dad, which is really fun. So
who started
and actually,
letting kids grow up?
the
That's
youngest
not right.
one is playing now too. So
yeah,
so
That's awesome.
Alec got both of the boys playing. So
which I think is a great testament to that kind of thing. They're playing Kings of War, of course, but that's whatever.
That's
it doesn't
their own
matter.
problem.
Well,
hey, it's not a problem.
we're not going to call Child Protection Services on them here
Because they're not
totally
playing both,
fine.
actually.
Yeah.
They're playing a fine game. They're not playing the right one, but they're playing a
Right,
fine
exactly.
game.
Come on.
They're playing with
At least
dice,
it's
and
not 40K.
they're away for the weekend, which is great. So
And interestingly enough, they were walking through, and it was fun to visit with them again. And Carl's looking over, and he goes, "There's a Panzer IV right there," and they're talking, and the family knows their stuff, and I don't know that they'll never not play Kings of War, but I certainly would love to have them as part of.
By the way, it was
Operation
just
SNAFU.
next door to us this year, so they did come over quite a bit. They had cake, which they invited us over for too.
We were going to go steal the cake and bring it back, but
then they invited so we could have it free. We're like, we don't want any more now.
Yeah, just trying to steal some of their players, but
yeah, that was.
Hey, we did have Brian, who was played the Recon Rumble, who was one of their players for the weekend. So we.
Yeah, I don't know if they were they doing an event on Friday this year?
They did
Late Friday.
improv. It wasn't ever an advertised. It was just one of the guys set it up, and so Friday night they did a thing.
Okay, but it wasn't like the same an actual organized event.
No,
per se.
It was
Okay,
not.
cool.
It was not a Renegade sanctioned event, is what I'll say. But it was a tournament that one of the
like
guys
an
set up and ran.
impromptu ad hoc, like 3-round little mini tournament.
Yeah, like within 2 weeks before Renegade, they said, "Hey, we want to do this." They're like, "We can't give you any advertising." Like, that's okay. We got the people who want it. Okay, go ahead. You got the room. Go for it.
Yeah, the sense is that they may not be able to play a tournament format with that game like terribly often, so they wanted to take advantage of folks who were coming in early enough to kind of just play as much as you possibly can. So
Sure, that makes sense.
And so this is one of the nice advantages that Renegade gave us this year with going to the badge system, similar to what Adepticon does, is that we, year before, we would have had to pay the room per day fee for everything we did. And with the badge system, it paid for all the rooms, the whole tournament. We could have done something, not done something. It would have cost us the same either way. So that was actually really cool for us. That's why it was no problem doing, this thing on Friday. I'm like, it's a Friday before a holiday. The chances during the day, the chances of getting this to sell out are 0. But if I get 8 or 10 people, cool, that's fun. Whatever, let's do that. And that was the main thing about the Recon Rumble and actually moving to this system with Renegade this year.
Right.
So I know it did have a hurt on some of the other smaller games. The people who normally show up for their little one-off $15, $20 one-day tournament didn't want to have to pay $30 for the badge. And I'm only going to play this one thing on Friday or Saturday, and that's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to do that. So it did have a hurt on that, but it didn't bother us any. It helped us out.
Yeah. To be fair, the one-day badge was 15, but the whole weekend was 30. So, but still, it's an extra. It's just a little extra ad there that we hadn't seen before for Renegade.
Right. It was an expected cost of $10, and now it's $20, whatever. It adds up quick when you're doing just a one-off tournament. I can understand why some people would be upset about that. Given that we had a 2-day tournament, though, I think our cost was comparable to almost any other 2-day tournament.
And most of the people we had that were there for the Friday were, not all of them were doing our Operation SNAFU. Some of them went over to Kings of War, and some had other stuff, but they were doing other stuff the rest of the weekend, too.
Yeah.
So.
I know several other... I shouldn't say several. I know some other people played in the Shadespire thing, so they took advantage on the Friday as well. So there were multiple events going on, and some people did take advantage of... I've got the pass for the weekend, might as well do something with it. So I think it's kind of... It's not the end of the world. It does make our lives easier. It does make it so Friday is a thing, because that kind of was a deal breaker for us last year, because we couldn't justifiably get the money to do it.
Right. If we would have lost money trying to do it Friday, because we wouldn't have had the buy-in power to pay for the room that we needed to.
Yeah.
Well, we would have lost more money. I didn't get any money last year, so
we kind of funneled everything back into the hobby last year.
None of us were making money, and Renegade wasn't making any money last year.
No,
and I don't think they made money this year as well. Although
they're still paying off some of their previous year's balance too.
Right, and so it's just it's not a money grab that's going on. It's just they're trying to make it work. So
if it was a money grab, you would see these all over the place. But
news alert that hobbies don't necessarily make your money.
Game stores, barely stay alive as it is. I don't imagine that long term. Well, Adepticon aside, there are some that make it, but that's because they're massive and they've grown into it. I know that Adepticon for the first 5-10 years was negative too. So and I know that's kind of their goal.
You got to put the
here.
outlay to grow if you want to do something big like that, though.
Right? Yeah, and I feel like they're doing the right things and they're moving in the right direction with Renegade. So I think, who knows? I don't think it'll ever. Hopefully Hopefully it'll get as big as Adepticon, but I would have a seriously tough time believing that it's going to get that large.
Well, by the time
20
it
years,
reaches
20 years
the
from
level of what Adepticon is now, Adepticon will have grown to like Gen Con.
Comic-Con or Gen Con, yeah.
They'll have outgrown anywhere they can do it in Chicago, essentially.
So-
They'll have to move it to Indiana, where they have like that ridiculous convention center.
Go the other direction. Move it back to Lake Geneva.
Or Nevada.
Come closer to us, please.
Yeah, right? Yeah, that would be a good point.
Shorten our drive. To hell with those rest of those people. East Coasters,
You
whatever.
could just rent out the whole convention center in Minneapolis. You could fit everything in there.
You
Yeah,
could
you
probably.
Yeah, you could. Chicago is best. I mean,
Yeah, no, it is a very good
it's right
central
smack
place.
dab in
Yeah.
the middle.
As
Easy to
central
get
as
to.
you can get.
Well, and it's got an international airport and all that stuff.
Aerodrome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we have
I guess
a lot
we
of that
do
too,
but
it's we're pretty fortunate. If I could ever get that amount of time off, we could drive there, which is pretty lucky for us.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
All right. So we went over best painted, which, by the way, Jason's army looked amazing. I love that army. So
Yep.
Please paint another one. We want to see more. Oh yeah, I guess we should say this.
Yeah.
That I remember the old North Star said that once you won that that favorite painted, that you don't get to win it again with that same army
For 3 years.
for 3
So,
years. So
yeah,
so you got to
this-
paint something different.
he's good.
I
I
like
know he's
that.
working on it. It's hard to do
I know
when you're.
that's why I'm throwing it out there.
It's hard to do with the format of how we did painting and the Operation SNAFU. That's the only thing that will make it a little bit difficult. Actually, it's not
Well,
that difficult.
It's
We
a
can
little
make it
different.
work. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a little different because at North Star there was a best painted, and then there was a player's choice.
Right.
And we don't really have a best painted. It was player's choice. Pick your favorite army.
Right.
And, but the idea is after you see an army for a couple of years and you've already voted for it, you're happy to
stop
see
voting
something
for it.
new, and usually you kind of move on from that. But
I think that's normally the case anyway, is you just don't vote for it.
right.
I've seen it. I've done it. I voted for it last year. I'm not voting for it again.
and
The
someone
players gotta
else
do
has
that on
come out
their
with
own.
something that's new and
Yeah,
awesome. And,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of Operation SNAFU, let's move into that one. Unless there's anything we want to talk about. Any more Recon
Well,
Rumble things?
So we did have some fun. In fact, that we mentioned that we had John Russell from Warlord came up.
Oh yeah. Shenanigans.
Friday night?
Yeah, might as well
That
talk
was pretty
Friday Night
fun.
Shenanigans. Yeah.
So yeah, there's some Friday Night Shenanigans, and it was very weird because I was expecting more people to show up for Friday night and be around, but that didn't really happen. In fact, you guys didn't play any games, I don't think.
Well,
No,
it was
I had
early.
to go home.
Okay.
You're talking early Friday night. Late Friday night, there was some stuff going on. So.
Shenanigans,
Oh,
but no
and hear about
games.
that after
Yeah.
Oh wait! I might be blending the whole weekend together.
Yeah, that could be because
all
Saturday
big
there was
blur to
plenty of
Dale.
shenanigans.
Oh, I'm remembering Saturday. We took Pim out to dinner on Friday. I don't remember what happened after that.
Weren't you driving?
Yeah.
Okay, so things get blurry after you got done driving, I hope?
Well, did you play John on Friday or Saturday night?
It was
You played
Friday
John
night.
on Saturday
Friday.
night.
No, I played him
No.
on Friday night. We talked to him Saturday night in the ill-fated podcast.
Yeah, right.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah. Keep telling Friday night. I'll catch up.
So Friday night, John and I set up to play a game. And now, if any of you had the fortune to talk to John, he was in the vendor hall. He is absolutely a salesman. And while he was taking his army out, it was the quietest I had ever heard him ever. Like, he wasn't saying any words. I'm like, what do you think about that? And he's like, taking stuff out. I'm like, John, you good? He's like, oh, yeah, man, we're good. And then he pulls these relic after relic out of his bag of, hey, did you see who signed all this copy I have of this book? I'm like, yep, okay, sure, that's very impressive. No, and then I got this model here. I'm like, okay, did you paint that? No, I picked it up at I'm like, okay.
Right.
But eventually we were going to play a game, and I don't remember whether it was or if I just promised my wife I was going to try and be home earlier than what I was intending to. So we kind of like put a time crunch on our game and said, after this, we gotta call it. And now here's the funny thing. So a couple doors down, so we'd mentioned that right next to us there was the Kings of War, and then further down that was apparently a quilting or a knitting club of some sort.
Quilting circle.
a quilting circle. These ladies, 50s, 60s, whatever, were in this hotel doing their quilting thing. And while John and I are sitting there playing, actually on Dale's table we had for the Raise the Colors, which is a fantastic table, and it was right front, and we wanted to play in that one in case anyone stopped by. So this lady stops by and is like looking all inquisitive about what's going on. We ended up talking to her for about a half hour or 40 minutes about what bolt action was, and she was wondering how she could get her grandkids involved in it, and basically to try and get them away from like reading, playing video games all the time, and doing stuff that was interactive, and what the hobby meant and how it meant in the history, and learning the history and watching and playing all this stuff. And it was really cool, actually, because that kind of stuff doesn't normally happen in any sort of gaming convention. By the end of the conversation, she had taken John's information, his email, and all this stuff, and written down. She's like, "That's really cool. I'm gonna try and get my grandkids into this game because I think it's kind of neat. Like, hey, take some pictures of stuff. Look what's going on." And she left, and it was like, looked at John. He's like, "That's the kind of stuff that makes doing this worthwhile." I'm like, I guess I don't argue with that. But
right.
She talked to the right guy.
Well, yeah, I was there too. I said stuff.
Fair.
I wasn't near a salesman that John was, but
no, I mean John's a salesman.
Absolutely, and he's also a big fan of the Gates of Antares. Antares.
I've heard it Antares, but I might be wrong too. Now you're making me question myself.
Don't look at me.
They should buy Dune so it could be Gates of Atreides.
Oh my
There you
god,
go. That'd be awesome. So we'd also talk. We talked at length about rules and stuff like that, which is kind of interesting that there's a regional interpretation of several of the rules, and not saying that any of them are wrong, but he just finds it very interesting that the regions he goes to, all of them interpret this or that rule the same way, but he goes to a different region and it's a totally different interpretation, and they all interpret it that way. I'm like, that's really bizarre.
Which rule? I want to know what rule it is.
Do you really want to go into it?
Well, how long is it?
Long.
Just give him the title of the rule. We can go into it another time.
Yeah, sure.
Podcast. We can NPR this stuff and tease it. We'll get back to
dense
it in
terrain.
12 hours. Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
okay, sure. Okay, I know. I just had to
Driving out
remember.
of dense terrain.
Yep. Okay.
So, and
It'll
we're
be a
not
Facebook
necessarily-
topic.
It'll be a Facebook topic. Expect it to show up in one of our rules corners in probably the next episode.
Yep.
When we probably have to actually talk about the Battle of France too.
Yes,
Spoiler
because
alert.
we seriously need like 15 minutes to explain this.
Yeah.
No, I
So
totally
nonetheless,
get it.
Diagrams.
So we played for 2.5 hours and got through 2 turns.
Yep.
But then it came down to, I'm like, okay, we should probably wrap it up. He's like, oh, hang on. Really, what it comes down to is if you can get rid of my veteran Panzer IV, you're going to have the game. And so I pulled 2 dice and got rid of his Panzer IV. He's like, well, there you go. That was it. One of the funniest comments was when he had moved his, I forget what 2-man team he'd ran into a building, and I blasted the building with my medium howitzer and just eradicated him off the table. He looks at me and goes, huh, so those are kind of overpowered, aren't they? I'm going to have to talk to Alessio about that.
No, it's buildings are death traps. You
Well,
could have
there's
told
that.
them that. Yeah, stay out of the
that was
buildings.
just pretty funny. I was just kind of like goes, I have to talk to Alessio about that.
Yeah, well,
Were you guys playing on Dale's board?
Yeah, we were playing on the
Okay.
Raise the Colors board.
Yeah. Okay. Which is a beautiful board, and it's fun to play on. So
Lots of buildings there to blow
yeah,
up and fall
yeah.
on.
Don't
People
don't
enough
go
to
into
get
buildings. Yeah, it's hard to not go into buildings on that board because otherwise you're kind of stuck to little lanes.
Yeah, and that was also why the dense terrain came up, because depending how you want to play that, if you play that all as dense terrain, oh my god, that's an almost
that would be-
unplayable board.
yeah.
You just can't do that.
No.
So
No, that's not really what it's there for. Mostly it's just
it's
soft
an
cover.
aesthetics.
Yeah.
So that's what it should be for. Well, a soft cover can still be dense terrain too.
Yep. Why you want to talk about it. And the idea, and we have the table tents that are by our tables. We don't tell people what each of the individual pieces or similar pieces of terrain represent. Maybe that's something that we might want to think about. But there didn't really seem to be many issues as far as that goes.
Well, all through the weekend, I noticed that everybody, I kind of like would stop in at the tables and go, oh, how you guys playing that? And this is, then I'm like, okay. They're like, is that wrong? I said, did you talk about it before the game started? Yeah, and that's what we agreed to. I'm like, no, it's not wrong. There's no right or wrong. I'm just curious how people are interpreting what this terrain is.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I will say the same, that a lot of games I would walk, well, like when we were setting up and all that stuff, and Dale and I were walking around doing our thing, that you would hear people talking about, okay, well, this is what we're going to play it as, or, this is how we played it before, or whatever. So it was nice to see that. I think that's a better way of doing it than us telling them how to play it, personally, because at least then they're in some agreement. I don't know. I feel like it gives them the opportunity to play it how they want to play it. So it's
again,
not
the whole thing with SNAFU and its narrative is we dictate the story, not the where or the what. You know, what field you play on is your choice.
Yeah, we provide
what you
the
determine
framework.
those things to be is what you agree to, and someone else may play the next game and go, oh, we played them this way.
Well, we'll play it different this time. Whatever.
We had one game where on our airfield board we had somebody who was blowing up the planes, and I'm like, you realize they just eliminated all your airstrikes.
He was driving a tank through them.
He was running his tank through them.
Oh, we didn't think about that. I'm like, well, obviously you didn't. So,
Yeah, right.
Oh, and I think there was somebody that played one of the boards the wrong way too.
Yes.
yes, there was somebody who played it the exact wrong deployment. Yes.
Yeah, it's all right. No, I don't expect anyone to actually read anything.
No. Next time we'll just make it a picture and just be done.
We had a whole split field of the people who listened to what we said and didn't read a word out of the packet, and then people who never heard a word we said and read straight out of the packet. And
Yep.
To be fair, there were a couple. Your secondary objectives were a late addition.
yes,
So some things didn't make the like it didn't match the packet right, and so I could see some people getting confused. But anyway, but that's a different story. So, all right,
people getting confused at our tournament is not a different story. That's a pretty common one, actually.
Right?
So
Hey,
that was
hey, at least we did away with the zones.
That's why
But-
it's called Operation SNAFU. It's not called Operation Smooth Running.
Operation Cool Running.
That was,
there you go.
So that was Friday night. Then you just wrapped
Yeah.
up with John. I went out and had dinner with a couple of the other guys. Actually, Jeff and I, we both went out, didn't we?
Yep.
We took out Pim, or we went out to Pim with Pim and Ian, if I recall.
Yes.
And I learned what a Tom and Jerry was because I'd never heard of that before.
Yep.
What, the ice cream or the drink?
The drink.
The drink.
Okay.
Yeah.
Two different things.
So,
Yeah. I
Yeah,
don't know.
we had-
I don't know what the drink is. I thought it was an ice cream drink.
No, it's not ice cream. It's this is going to sound really nasty if you aren't familiar with Midwestern drinks, because I'm pretty sure it's a Midwestern invention.
Yes, it
But
totally
anyway,
is.
it's so it's hot. Okay, so it's a hot drink. It's hot water, brandy, or rum. You're calling the alcohol, and egg whites, beaten egg whites. So it's almost like a meringue, but it doesn't set up, so it's still soft. And then you sprinkle nutmeg on top of it. So
Okay.
like you put the batter into a cup, you pour in the rum or the brandy, then you pour in the hot water, stir it, mix it good, and sprinkle nutmeg on top.
So that's what I'm
It's
thinking
out
of.
of season eggnog.
Yeah,
kind
there we
of,
go.
yeah.
All right. So
why
warm
wouldn't
eggnog,
you-
essentially.
Yeah. Why don't you just
Eggnog's warm.
take eggnog and pour alcohol into it?
And people do that.
Eggnog has a distinctly different flavor.
Okay. Is it like much more sweet or?
Eggnog is creamier. It's more of a cream rather than like a meringue.
Okay.
or a
Okay.
beaten egg
Eggnog more of a
whites.
brandy thing, too?
Eggnog generally is a brandy drink.
Yeah, I was going to say brandy's typical, but okay. But now I know where I've heard it because it is the batter mix. I've seen the batter mix before, and I always ever seen it in liquor stores. So
Yes.
that makes sense.
Or
Okay.
grocery stores up here in the Midwest.
outside of Minnesota,
Well,
right?
they have in Minnesota. I
No,
could've
no,
bought
in
it.
Minnesota.
You can
They-
buy it. Okay, I just never.
I-
Especially
I
northern
almost-
Minnesota.
Yeah, the
Fair.
farther north you get, the more common.
Oh, I
I almost
suppose,
bought some
yeah.
at Byerly's the other day. So.
Okay, I guess I'm used to always just seeing it in liquor stores, but I guess I don't look in that section at a grocery store. So
And then the ice
Okay.
cream one is a brand name.
Right.
right, okay,
Right.
Well, that's
and it's
Ben and
it's
Jerry's.
very much a seasonal Christmas drink because you won't see it in the freezer case the rest of the year, but from like 1st of December till mid-January, almost any grocery store, if you look in their end cap cases, will have it.
So
Available in stores now.
It sounds gross, and
We were
it's
not
very
sponsored for that,
Midwest,
by the way.
No,
It's actually super good. So
okay, all right, I'll trust
probably
you on
my
this
favorite
one.
alcoholic drink.
Interesting. Okay, I might have to give one a shot just for you, Jeff. But it sounds
A
gross. to
literal
me, so-
shot.
Well, it's more like a drink. It's a cocktail.
You
so
could not shoot it. It's like super hot.
It's a sip and
super
drink.
hot. Okay. All right. Well, so there's our Midwest piece of it. So that's Friday. Saturday, I drive up. who stayed there? Just
I did.
Dale?
Yo, I did.
Jeff did as well.
Oh, Jeff and Dale did.
We had the threat of weather that night, didn't we?
There was
Yeah, they were
threat.
supposed to get up to like 4 or 5 inches of
Yeah.
sloppy rain up here, or snow.
It was supposed to snow, and it didn't.
Of course, it was
do
over
over
something
forecasted,
crap.
but
Yeah.
you know, whatever
They
that happens
hyped,
up here.
the shit out of it, yeah.
Right. And I got to
One weather
drive an
station
hour
says
to and
2
from
inches.
the
We can
place,
say
yeah.
4.
Yeah.
And
It's
then
an
none
hour
of us were
drive
right.
across the cities for me in good traffic. I was like, there's no way I'm dealing with that in the snow.
Sure. No, I totally get
Like,
that.
Y'all got a room? And they're like, of course. And I was like, well, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that place had a lot of rooms. Holy
Yep.
cow!
That's a
Yeah.
big place.
It's a fairly
But
sizable.
most of
hotel.
them had the one king size bed. It was like the majority.
Yes.
Typically.
The room I ended up in had one. They called it a queen, but it sure looked like 2 twins pushed together.
Two queens pushed together. Holy cow!
No, twins.
Twins. Oh, got it. Oh,
It was
did you
slightly
check?
smaller than the queen at home. No, but I mean, it was like,
Did you?
if that was this, yeah.
No, mine was an actual king. I don't know.
I was
No,
barely
that's
not
fine.
sleeping
Whatever.
on mine long enough for Saturday night to care.
For one
Right,
person,
that's a
I
good
didn't
point.
care. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
If I
and
had to split that bed with somebody, I'd been like, nah.
oh, yeah, no, mine was plenty big by myself anyway, so I guess I didn't pay that close attention either. You're a good point, Pat. I wasn't in there that long. Yeah, so I feel like you're right, Pat. This is a great place to take a little break. We'll come back and we'll talk about Saturday morning.
Don't you be weary, don't you be dreary, 'cause that trumpet's going to sound. Just keep your eyes peeled and keep your lips sealed, 'cause when that good news gets around, bo-do-do-do-bo-do-day, there'll be a jubilee, there'll be a jubilee, there'll be a jubilee upon that happy day. Sister, your man and my man too, your man and my man too, your man and my man too will be coming home to stay. Great day in the morning when the peaceful sun will be dawning. Oh, say what a gay time, why the night'll seem just like daytime. Mister, there'll be a jubilee, happiness for you and me. There'll be a jubilee upon that happy day. Brothers and sisters, gather round and hear what I have to say. Oh, your friends and my friends too, your friends and my friends too, your friends and my friends too will be coming home to stay, Mister. Great day in the morning when that peaceful sun will be dawning. Oh, say what a gay time, while the night'll seem just like daytime. Mister, there'll be a jubilee, happiness for you and me. There'll be a jubilee upon that happy day. There's gonna be a jubilee upon that happy
All right, welcome back. I hope you like the music. I'm never going to say anything else because
God damn it. It's like Chuck Woolery's 2 and 2. He just can't do anything other than that.
yeah.
Oh, my
All right.
goodness.
So we left off talking about the end of Recon Rumble into Friday night. What I won't call them a lot of shenanigans, but some shenanigans happened, but not too much. Pretty mellow night, it sounded like. because we all had a big morning, right? Got some breakfast, and everybody showed up to start playing in Operation SNAFU.
Yeah, everybody showed up. That was good.
We had 0 drops day of.
Which is
So that was
almost
cool.
unheard of.
Unlike last year.
Unlike last year. Where did we we had somebody get sick last year.
We
and
had
a
3
dude-
people sick the night before and 1 no-show day of.
Yeah,
That's right.
We lost 4.
Who we learned had reserves. You had drills that day, right?
Drills,
Yeah.
and
Drills or something.
And he didn't want to go AWOL just to play Voltage. What the hell's up with that?
I mean, he really should have. I mean, come on.
What a jerk.
No excuse. So you could probably have written it off as drills. Maybe.
Kind of.
I don't know.
We were kind of doing
of.
drills. Dice drills.
That's what I'm saying, but you're like doing strategy drills.
Yeah, you learn stuff. Sure.
It was something, sure. How to not roll 6s. All right, so again, like last year, we've talked about this in the previous episodes coming into this. Like
What?
right? I mean, I think 2 episodes ago we were talking about this, but so to catch people up, we have a very unique format that I think is really cool. I personally love it. I hope we never get rid of it because I think it would be sad to go to like a different format. And I think people will agree with us. The people that come to it anyway would agree that this is a very fun time for all. But it's red versus blue, or Axis versus Allies, I guess, kind of. So we had to move some people around, and I'm sure Pat will talk about that. But then we as a team, or as the 2 sides, decide amongst themselves how to pair and what to do strategically to make this event theirs. And that's primarily because of the objective tables, right?
yeah, I think so. That's a good way to put it.
Right, because those tables have a bunch of stuff that's going on that's different than the other tables that has some direct impact on the tournament. And I think that's
and we'll
where
actually tell you what
it's
they were
cool.
this time. We won't just tease them again.
Right, no more teasing. We can tell you what they are. So why don't we go through them? Because I think a couple of them you posted them on Facebook, so people have seen a lot of pictures of them. And a couple of them are things we've already shown in previous years. We still had the partisan table. Did we make any changes on that one?
The board got
Aesthetic
slightly
improvements.
redesigned in the
Okay.
yeah aesthetic improvements. Yeah.
Right, so nothing else really changed. The scenario was exactly the same.
There's a pretty sweet
It was-
half-built boat on the board, though. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Got a lot of comments on
that was
that
on
one,
that
Jeff.
Jesus.
The scenario was brilliant the first time out, and we got a lot of positive feedback on that,
Yeah.
so we didn't necessarily want to tweak that at all. So.
Well, we got a lot of positive and negative feedback. Like, I hate that, but it played well, but I hated it because my stuff got blown up.
Well,
and you're like, oh, that's the way
As
it goes, bro.
they're
Sorry, man.
The laughing about it and saying how much they hate it, that's kind of a love-hate thing. So.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
No, they totally get it. And the beauty of these tables is you did not have to play on that one. If you were like, I truly hate this scenario, you knew the scenario was on that table. It didn't randomly mix around. It was on the table. Just don't go play on the partisan table. So do we want to talk bonuses now, or do you want to go through all of it and then come back to the bonuses? I think it makes sense to tell them what the bonus was for this table at this point.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So so the partisan table, we changed the bonus on this, correct? What did we do
Nope.
this year? That was
Nope,
different.
same bonus.
Oh, it was exactly the same?
It was
that's right, it
exactly
was.
the same.
Yep. Exactly the same.
It was, well, we had tweaked it in the sense that we did tell them everything about who was playing on what table.
Right. So last year we just told them what army was going to be there, but then when there was, only German armies, it was like, you're going to play German army. They're like, no frickin'. So this year we
Yeah, that
actually
was
said,
pointless.
you're going to know the opponent and the army that's going to be at that table.
Which would be significant if, say, Rick was playing the German army on one table and John Stentz was playing the German army on a different table. You might want to know which one was which.
Yeah, which was actually much more beneficial to win the partisan table now, which it plays a role in the later rounds in this game and this tournament.
Yes, it
so
does.
I think it's really interesting to go down that. We'll get there when we get there. But so then
Or
the next
just
table
after.
was also. It'll tangent somewhere in here, I'm sure. So the next table was the artillery table. That was also a repeat table.
That was a repeat.
With another
but
aesthetic improvement.
An aesthetic improvement with some excellent
Yeah, that was, by the way.
3D printed 88s. I redid the bunkers, and we added a fourth gun instead of. So there, instead of 3 objectives, there were 4.
Which makes it play a little bit differently. I think that's cool.
Yeah, I liked how this played better, frankly. So
Yeah.
And then we may get aesthetic improvements next time, too. We'll see.
Yeah. The next aesthetic improvement will be at least that the scenario matches the board.
Yes.
That was kind of a big foobar on my part, so
Well,
thankfully
and
you guys
also
caught it early enough.
the scenario written got revised spur of the moment, so it didn't accurately reflect how it was being played, but for a much better way. And I think we caught it early on, and we kind of managed that table in particular. So,
yeah. I mean, it just like any of our other, scenario tables or our objective tables, we were watching them a little bit closer than the rest of them, just because shenanigans were to be had.
Well, right. When you're going to do something interesting, you got to babysit the tables a little bit, and that's okay.
Yep. No, I mean, that's why there's 4 of us, and that makes it easier for us to be able to do it. So we definitely have some advantages to having more people than most TOs typically have.
Rule 1 when running a tournament like this, have friends.
Right. Or run a podcast with 3 other people. Apparently that works, too.
Yes, that also helps, too.
Well, I mean, that was
that all
have
some
friends. Jeez, Rick, I see how it is.
Well, 3 of us are friends. 3 friends and Rick.
He's sorry about that.
No, I thought he was going to leave me out of that
Thanks,
one.
guys. Thanks. All right. I'm going to skip table 7 for now, and we'll come back to that one last, because I think that one's worth talking about a little more. And then the next one was the airfield. That was
let's do the ones that are repeats.
Yeah, let's do Raise the Colors next.
Yeah.
So Raise the Colors was a repeat from last year, and there was a difference in the bonus, but that's Dale's amazingly beautiful city board that gets a lot of people. I think it's always nice that it's strategically placed in the front of the room, that when people walk
next
in,
to the doors.
Oh, dang. Yeah. It's a great table for people to come in and look at right away and watch some big fights going on. And then of course there's the flag in the middle.
Another shameless plug for Zulk, since that was actually their train that Dale painted up so beautifully.
Yeah.
And we did get a lot of questions on the manufacture of that one too. So,
and interesting, I used the City Ruins kit, Industrial City Ruins bundle. I don't recall exactly how much it was, but I think it was like around 200 or something. And I still had many buildings left over that never made it to the table. I ended up donating that over to Jesse so he could paint those up for his table. So lots of options in that kit.
Yeah, totally cool. Like it still holds up just as well this year as it did last year, and it still gets the same attention.
Yep, no improvements to that board for this one, but I'm already working on improvements to that board aesthetically for next year. So
cool.
That's right.
Yeah,
picked up some
awesome.
Nice Rebel kits.
I think that's going to be a theme y'all are going to hear, is aesthetic improvements to things. So
yeah, if you guys could figure out how to make me aesthetically pleasing, that'd be great.
We'll work on that. Airbrushing, I'm thinking.
Rumors abound that may not be an objective table next year. So just a heads up.
We'll see. We'll have to see how it all pans out.
Right.
And there was one change.
Lack of liking it, because it's awesome.
So you already alluded to the change in the bonus for it, and there's also a change in the execution of it. And the raising the flag last year required a unit and base contact to have a fire order. This year we changed it to an advance order because it was almost impossible to actually execute that. To leave a unit out there exposed to all the elements for an entire round to get that fire order, they typically didn't survive, even if they did.
Yeah, you have to really support the unit that's going to get there in order to do it. And the first time out, that was a struggle for a lot of people.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I liked that, except I didn't like the implications it had at the end of the game. I watched a couple of the end games where, like, bottom of turn 6 or 5 or whatever round they were in before time was getting called, could run up that last unit and just raise the flag, and it was like, oh, I got it. But, there were ways to stop that from happening. That's not to say there wasn't. So
yeah, you should push past the flag, secure the perimeter, and control it.
Right. Yeah, that I think is where people are getting, like, I'm going to get my unit, and they're going to touch it, but they're touching on their side because they want cover, versus going to the other side of it.
Touch the pedal still, you mean, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Thank you. But yeah, so they could have. You're right. They could have run past it.
Touch it.
and
you're raising my flag.
Blocked. Oh, Jesus. Wow, I'm blushing. By the way, I did go and look up the price of that Mega Urban Warzone set from Zulk, and it's $279.99 Canadian.
Okay.
So it's a little. It's like $250.
So what is that, like $8 American?
And not
Like
anymore.
$2.30 probably, right around there.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, we're like 80 cents on the dollar, 70 cents on the dollar right now. I
And
think,
for
somewhere there.
with the spacing that we used, Rick, I think you helped me put most of that together. Actually, you might help me put all of that together. It's
glued a
like
bunch
enough
of it.
terrain for 1.5 tables. It's pretty extraordinary. So
Yeah, especially when you start doing what you did with it, with like the blocking underneath it and stuff, and you had like that nice, like I don't know what you want, a parkway,
Little sidewalk
trees in the
effect.
middle. Yeah, you had
Boulevard.
it was a great effect. Boulevard. There
Yeah,
we go.
boulevard.
Trees.
Yep.
There you go.
So
Again, a beautiful table. And so when they raised the flag, something different happened this year. I think last year was +1 morale on
It was
Everybody got a
reroll first
flag.
failed order test.
yeah.
Reroll first
We-
failed order test was last year. This year it was it Jeff?
Your officer got to snap to action 1 additional unit.
which
Which
think
I
no
did
one
see get
used.
used quite a bit. No, I
really?
saw it. Well, granted it was third, fourth round and not really in the second, but
Right.
I did absolutely see it
So,
used.
yeah,
Most
I
of the
think-
German players
I
made
love
sure
this.
they had that.
I love the snap to action rule, and I think it's vastly underused, but apparently it's vastly underused.
I think people
Yeah.
undervalued it too. Quite honestly, of all of the tables, I think it was the one that was most undervalued. It was. We'll put someone good on there, but we're not going to like use up our really like premium whatever. We need these other ones, and we're going to get to some of these other ones because they're actually the last ones here matter a lot. So
Right. Nobody played it as a mission critical table, which
right.
made me a little sad inside, but you can't win them all.
Which
Nope,
I
right,
think
so
also
we'll see
alludes
what
to the
happens.
fact that that's maybe time to phase that one out for something different. Whatever could we come
phase
up
it
with?
across to a non-objective table because it's a
Right.
beautiful table.
I
Absolutely.
will. Yeah. I don't know if this is the time. I'll talk about it in round one because something really funny happened on this table, round one, and it was hilarious, and we'll talk about it in a second. So then the only one left. Oh no! So we have airfield. Yeah, we have two left.
Two
still.
new ones, yeah.
Yep. So the airfield, and we'll get to the other one in a second. But so the airfield was a new pat board, and I was like, "Where the hell did this one come from?" I didn't hear this one. It was even in the works. So it looked amazing.
I kept
I
that
loved
one
it.
kind of secret.
From everyone. Thanks, Pat.
I think I might have sent you guys a couple of snaps early on.
Yeah.
I knew about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I just wasn't paying attention the day you sent it out or something. I don't know. I was like, where did this table come from?
But I
But-
kept that from our club mates, and I only sent it just the Snafu guys. So that
Okay,
one never
nice.
made it into the club for any testing. No pictures went out over our club chat
Right.
because I knew it was
Cool.
going to be objective table. But yeah, that one. So this was my attempt at snowboard, and after that, I'm done with snow. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah.
Nobody
So that
brought
had to-
skis.
Nobody brought
No,
skis,
no
so
skis.
we're not committed to that anymore. I did commit to 2 and backed off to 1, and that was the one. And yeah, it's not
Okay.
much fun.
It's a
So
good
this
looking board.
one-
And it had some
It's
planes
great.
on it.
It's a great looking board. So
Yeah.
I love the board. Snow is
I
so
love it
damn
too.
hard to do.
It's tricky. It is a really tricky thing, and it's either you hit it or you don't, and you're like either you're happy with it or you're not. It's a hard one. It's a bugger. Anyway, okay.
So
So,
I like the building, the runways, and the hangar. Those are freaking awesome. Those turned out really good.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I like the building.
planes,
It's like
too.
one big building in the middle, right? Like there's a hangar and a building in the middle of that table. Essentially,
control tower.
Yeah,
Control tower, 3-story control tower. There's a radar station out there too. There's a nice little frozen over pond at the peak, and it's got little
Okay.
mounds like snowbanks across the runway, like they had plowed it. And I forget who was on it round 2, but they treated those snowbanks as like open terrain.
Yeah.
I'm like, seriously? Jeff's like, I want you to take a video this winter of you plowing through a waist-deep snowbank with no movement cost and send it to us, and then we'll validate that for you.
Yeah, no kidding. Clearly people have not tried to run through snow since they were a kid or something. I don't know.
That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this one actually was one of the ideas that Dale and I had, and Dale made it even better. I'm like, okay, so the winner of this board is going to have up to 3 airstrikes depending on their win criteria. And Dale's like,
Wowzers.
well, what if they know they're not going to get it at the end of the game? Could they use it at the beginning or at some point during? I'm like, a round interrupting airstrike. That sounds like just the kind of crap we like to pull around here. So
It's not
that's what we
exactly
did.
throwing paper airplanes around, but it's getting close.
Right.
Getting close.
So at any point in round 4 or later, if you had the win conditions criteria, you could call
turn
in
4.
Turn 4. Sorry,
Turn
yeah.
4.
Turn 4. Yeah.
Turn 4. You could call in an airstrike onto any one of the outside, the non-objective table boards that you wanted to, but it used up one of the 3 total that could ever be used from that board. So that was one of those that was like,
really
that's
cool.
really cool. That's really
Yeah.
cool. Like, people get immediate help. It's like, they'd like get the objective and they'd scream out, "I got an airstrike ready, who wants it?" And like, half the people weren't paying attention, and someone who really wanted it was like doing jumping jacks in the corner.
Or you'd have a couple of them. We'll get into that as the attaches. There were a couple funny moments with that during the rounds. That was pretty damn hilarious.
It was a lot of
the
fun.
The best part is to walk over to it and go, "Gentlemen, an airstrike has been called in these coordinates. Please finish your order dice and designate your target." They go like, "Right now?" I'm like, "Yup."
Well, and the
okay.
second funnest part was picking that airplane up and making airplane noises as I flew it across the room.
Well, and then seeing the hate in someone's eyes that they're like,
yeah.
"God, what? No, there's an airstrike? No, there's not an airstrike. Yes, there's an airstrike.
Oh yeah, it's coming.
So it's like you could see the what is it, the 6 steps of denial or whatever it is.
Denial all the way to acceptance. No,
Yeah,
not
like,
this table. It must be a
fine.
different one. No, it's this table. Are you sure it's this table? Are you sure it's not somewhere else? No, it's this table.
A lot.
You
I
sure you
think a
can't
lot
go
of them,
somewhere else? Yeah, there's a little bargaining in there. And
Yeah, a little bit of anger, getting stuck on anger quite a few times. It was pretty damn funny, actually.
So we'd also alluded to when we were talking about the artillery board that we kind of made a day of audible, and originally the artillery board was going to be the same way as the airfield, but we said, hey, you know what? It should be the same way as the airfield. The airfield originally was, next round you get to do them, and we switched it to, nope, as soon as you have the win conditions in turn 4, round 4, turn 4, whatever you call it, or later, you can do it right then and there. And so the artillery board had 4 objectives, but they're 2 big pits with the trench between them. So that one had 2 strikes that it could offer, whereas the airfield had 3 modeled airplanes, so therefore it had 3 airstrikes it could offer. And it worked out really good.
It did.
Yeah, no, it was great.
Yep.
So, again, an awesome looking table. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about the airfield table. But, all right, so then there's one left. This is the one that was hidden from everyone for quite a while, and it was kind of the logo inspiration and everything. It was like everything, right? That's what it was all about this time. And this is probably where we can get into the story a little bit, is the submarine table. Or it's technically a U-boat, right?
Yes, it would technically be a U-boat.
I mean, which is a submarine, but
It is a
not
submarine.
much of a
Undersea
submarine.
boat, but,
Yeah. It could go underwater, but it's not like a true submarine.
Well, it's a true submarine. It's just, the old submarines couldn't stay down very long.
Right.
And they were slow.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
They were not
That's
high
what
school
that's what I mean by
cheerleaders.
that. Wow.
God. Oof.
Wow. Okay. All right. So anyway,
Sorry.
so
That
Jeff,
was a
you made
bridge
this
too
table.
far.
All right. So Jeff, you were working on this board, and I think you went through a couple iterations of how you were going to do this, and I think you kind of were talking us through it, and it turned out great. It looked great. I think a
Yeah,
lot
it
of
looked
people were
awesome.
super excited about it.
Oh, I'm glad the end product was good because, man, I had the pieces for that board for 6 months, and I couldn't figure out how the hell to make it work. And I was trying to figure out how to model up the pink insulation foam and stiffen it up, but keep it so it's transportable because I can't get a 4x4 board into my car. So it's
Right.
like if I make it I can't make it a 6x4, and I can't make it a 4x4 because that won't fit either. It's got to be down to 2x4 boards. And I was struggling, and finally I was like, why don't I stick with what I know and we'll use an MDF top and we'll just use the pink board as a spacer to give it some depth. And it worked perfect. Once I figured that out, I put the board together in like 3 days.
Yeah, because it's all cement and the
Right,
gang,
the area around
gang
it's
planks
asphalt and
stuff were great.
cement and gang planks and a couple warehouses. And the farther you get away, there's some field and some grass. But if you play it short side to short side, like the scenario says to, the lines of sight are broke up real nice. So
Yeah.
you
I can't imagine playing it the other way. I know someone did, and we'll get into that, I'm sure. But
yeah,
We had
that-
we had
that-
half the
oh,
group.
man.
half the group that listened to what was said and didn't read their packet, and the other half that didn't listen to what was said and read their packet, and both of them ended up being wrong at least once.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that was there's multiple reasons why that was, but it was a cool
it's not
table,
Operation
and-
Snafu without a snafu, right?
Right.
No, we got to be able to give. We have to throw some wrenches in there somewhere, otherwise it's no fun for anyone. We got to have our stories too. Damn it!
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No,
It's not all about the players. What the hell?
Yeah. Right.
Right.
Screw those guys. They're just NPCs in our story, right?
No, that's not. No, we don't treat them that way.
I don't.
Well, we also have a lot less story if they don't show up to play it out.
Well, it'd just be the four of us playing, and that sounds boring.
It does.
No offense, guys. All right. So what did they have to do on this board? Because they were doing something.
Right. So the idea is here, the sub. I'm going to have to go to the overstory because otherwise this won't make sense.
Yeah, I think that's important.
So the overarching story is actually a variation on historical events, and it's the Japanese attempting to procure plans for heavy tanks from the Germans. Now this started to really happen during the war. They got so far as making the initial payment to the Germans, and the Germans got technical plans on board a submarine, I think in Bordeaux, or somewhere along the French coast, but the sub never actually made it out. So historically, it never got any farther than, leaving Europe. But the idea with this one is something along the same vein, where plans are being moved to the submarine, and the submarine's getting ready to sail out with those plans. And of course, that would be very bad if the Japanese started having things like KV-1s or, Tiger tanks.
Panzer IVs.
Panzer IVs even would have been a hell of a surprise on the, assuming you have to do a land invasion of Japan at the end of the war and not have the bomb.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, it's, a variation on a historical theme, which I thought would be very fun to do. So the submarine, refueling and resupplying port in general, there's 4 objectives represented by big cargo piles that are technical plans and such that have been delivered to the area, which is each an objective that you can grab, much like the top secret mission in the book, except there's 4 of them, obviously. And then there's the bonus objective of controlling the submarine itself at the end of the game, which is worth a ton of points as well towards victory. So each cargo pile...
A lot of technology there.
Right, yeah. Each cargo pile is worth 3 victory points. The holding the sub at the end of the game was worth 5.
Yowzers.
So,
Holy cow. There's a lot of points on the table.
There's a lot of points on that table.
Okay.
But it's designed to be a bit of a, slobber knocker around the submarine. So,
Especially if you play it the right way.
and if you play it the right way, it really is.
Yeah. I liked the windmill in the corner, but I think a lot of people were getting a little upset about it because it kept running into it, I think.
Yeah, no, it was there for the aesthetic look, but I usually went over and just grabbed it and moved it off to the grabbed everything except the base of it and just moved it off to the side and been like, that's fine.
That'd be the one change to make next year,
Yep,
maybe.
that is the one piece that's going to get replaced with something else.
Yeah.
But
Well, you
it
just
looked
leave it
good,
there
but
and
just
go,
didn't play
look good,
good.
guys? Great? Good? Okay, I'm getting this out of your way.
Yeah, right. I'll put some sharp edges on it. That'll really make people love it.
Yeah, like razor blade the
Just blade them up a little bit.
Yeah, put a little motor in there anytime they get close, spin it real fast.
Right. Just have the damn thing spinning there. People would love that. Put a real like fan there.
Yeah.
Take the guards off of it.
There you go.
The old
Perfect.
school metal style.
So, and what did they get for winning on this board? So if they collected all those things, what did they win?
So since this one is kind of the main focus of the story, this one was double points for your side.
Yeah.
Just
double
on that
the
table.
victory points on that table. So if you got a major
For your
victory, you
team.
scored an additional 9 points for your faction.
Right. And since it was a team-based event, that's significant. Like, just adding an extra 9 points to
We
your
tried
table.
to make it significant.
No, I
I'm
know.
not sure.
No. I
think it was.
Okay.
I think it helped. I think it helped keep.
It felt significant
things
to
the way
me
they
when I was totaling up the scores. I'm like, ooh, you know what? I see this one coming in. This might make a difference here.
Yeah, right.
It's one of those things where, if you value those extra points, that could make a big determination on who you put to play onto that table. So
I will say I saw some of the more veteran players or people that I would expect to have pretty big games playing on that table.
Yep.
So I saw some like John
Really?
Stentz, for instance, played on that table.
In the last
Okay.
round.
Yep. So like the people knowing where they needed to put people of that caliber were playing there. So
Because if you're
Wand
really
Warrior
thinking from
played
a
it
team,
round 2.
yeah,
Yep.
if you're thinking of it from a team perspective, you're counting points and you're looking at your matchups. You're like, okay, where can we pick up points depending upon where the standings are at? And you plan that out, even into future rounds, knowing that, okay, you can only play on a maximum of 2 objective tables. How do you really want that to work? Where do you want to go? How valuable are these things? So, there's a lot of decisions that can be made because the objectives are varied and all or most uniquely valuable in certain circumstances, which is cool.
yeah, totally.
Also, just
So-
want to chime in and point out that the round 4 matchup was 2 of the players were in contention for overall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, awesome. So that was all of our normal objective, or our normal. That's our normal, right?
Normal.
Yeah, wait, normally every table has an impact. Is that strange? Do people not do that?
Well, I did miss. I will say I missed the having 2 zones last year and having some impact from the zones, but it did make things a hell of a lot easier. I'm not going to lie; it made life a whole lot easier trying to figure out all this stuff.
It did.
Like, just not going to lie.
Yeah.
There's a few things with the scenario boards too that we didn't, or the objective boards. Jeff, you didn't mention the Enigma machine.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
I haven't. Yeah. Well, okay. So
That's because we cut them
the-
off.
Sorry.
No,
And we're
my
going to do
little
it again.
wolf of a dog is attempting to climb her way in here. No, the
Pug
Enigma
for the win.
machine. Pug for the win, exactly.
She needs to fart again.
Well, she's just pacing around, and her toenails are. It's a wood floor in my office here, so it's like sounds like prancing reindeer every time she comes into the room, and she can't decide where she wants to be.
At least she's seasonal.
Anyway, yeah, exactly. So we had the Enigma machine, and that. Pat, where did you find that again?
That was actually they do have it on Thingiverse, but for like $20 or $25, you can track down the actual guy, and he will put it together and paint it and put the little decals on it for you. And I'm like, yep. Yeah, sure. 3D print a bunch of them and then fiddle with these tiny little like the actual keys are there that you have to print and then glue in, and they're like the
Oh,
size of
my
your
goodness.
smallest fingernail. Yeah, you saw with the model. The whole model is about the size of a quarter.
Right.
Yeah, give or take.
I'm like, $25? Yeah. Jeff, you just need one? Good. We can do one.
Yeah, just
if
one.
you needed
Oh my
6,
God,
it'd been
just
like,
one, yeah.
okay, I guess we're going to be gluing our fingers together on this one.
Right.
But he puts the
Yeah.
decals on and everything. And if you also want to do the 3D printing, he will sell the decals separate, too. So, but he's
Totally
on
cool, yeah.
Etsy, but you can find the link through Thingiverse. You just look for Enigma Machine. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So,
no, it's
Apologize, I
super
don't remember
cool
the name
little
of the guy
model.
who put it out there, but you can find him.
Yeah.
yeah.
Super cool. So, so this is an added bonus, and this is something because I love screwing with my players.
I
So
so
we had a
love
bonus-
not being a player in this tournament.
Yeah. So there's kind of
Throw
a
'em for a
bonus
loop.
objective going around to the tables, right? In the 2 zones that are not objective boards, we would randomly draw one of the boards to receive a special gift, and that's in the form of a little 222 command vehicle. And he for the story is running some of the plans trying to get them to the submarine. And so whoever was the Axis player would be informed that this 222 was going to come on the right short side of their table, and they needed to get it off the left short side of the table before the game was over. And it would score them bonus points if they were successful. And we tell the ally player, if he gets it off, it's going to do something good for the Axis and bad for you. So you want to destroy it, or better yet, we want you to capture it. So win an assault against the vehicle, which would give you the allied players a big bonus. So, people were setting up thinking we got away from the objective table and going to have a nice normal game of bolt action, and then I got to come rain on their parade with that. So it was pretty fun. But it's a fun little story event, I thought.
So, I mean, we might as well go into what did they get if they... So,
Well,
what
hang
did the
on.
Axis player get
So-
if it ran off?
Back to the objective
so,
table.
Yeah, sorry.
If
Yeah,
you
the
won,
Enigma. back.
Yep.
Yeah.
slide back. So
If you won
the
this-
victor
yeah.
conditions on the sub table. If you won
Yes.
and you had an intelligence officer that was alive at the end of the game, your side got possession of the Enigma machine, which allowed you to know which table that armored car was going to be on.
Yep.
Right.
So
You have pre-knowledge of that. So
yes.
So we did
you
have a
could
lot
send
of
somebody there to stop it. Yeah.
we had a lot of stuff that went around these intelligence officers. In fact, both the airfield and the artillery, when you got to call in those strikes, if you had an intelligence officer, you got a +1 to the roll for the strike coming in and the plane type.
Which is awesome.
So,
yeah.
we really, we nudged a little bit early on that, hey, we kind of think these guys are cool. We're going to include them in the reinforced platoon for everybody, and we gave you the set parameters, what you could do. And then, lists are coming in, no one's doing it, so we're like, hey, guys, these are really important. And then it was finally like, hey, somebody put one on your frickin' list, would you? And then they started to. And they're like, oh, yeah, it was a really good idea that I did that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe subtlety isn't our strong
side.
point.
We don't do subtlety here.
Well, I think by year
Evidently
3, by year 3, people will realize that when we are posting things like, "Hey, we're offering you these new units," that maybe
You should take them.
Yeah, I think people will start catching on very quickly as to the idea of we're not just talking about chaplains for no apparently good reason. There's maybe a reason why you might want one.
Yes, including horse chaplains.
Oh, holy crap!
Well, we'll see about what we do next year. It's not chaplains necessarily next year. Don't read into that one, but read into everything else we say.
Operation SNAFU. Holy shit!
Perfect. We're done. That's it.
Yep.
Better have a chaplain.
Night, guys.
All right. Yep. All good.
Or 2. Oh man, awesome. Anyway, so what did they get if they got the? So let's go back to the car then, since we've determined the Enigma machine gets you pre-knowledge of where the car ends up, or the 222 is. What do you get? What did the Axis player get if they got the 222 off the board?
Bonus points.
No, they got an intelligence officer.
Yeah, I know. I was just trying to be sure. You could upgrade an officer on your side. Any member of your team could upgrade their officer to also count as an intelligence officer.
Which, again, there were people that didn't have intelligence officers that made a difference to. That was kind of a nice aspect of it. Well, we'll get into I don't know about Dale's side, but our side, there were some interesting things that happened when we were negotiating the pre-round stuff. But, so what did the Allies, if the Allies destroyed it, they got points. And did they get anything different if they captured it? What happened when they captured it?
It didn't
Never
happen,
happened,
so it didn't matter.
It
Never
never
happened.
Okay, fine. All right. So nobody will ever know
But
until they actually
I think
do
they
it,
would have gotten an intelligence officer
Correct.
upgrade if they had
They would
captured
have
it.
gotten it.
Yep.
which made sense. So totally fun little extra thing that we did, and I'm sure that we'll see some form of it again, I'm guessing.
You might as well just get ready to see that again because it was way too fun not to see some form of it.
And it actually had some impact.
When in doubt, double down.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll get into it again, and there's some cool shit that happened with that too. I'm not going to lie, I was pretty psyched to see some of it. So let's get into round 1. So pre all of round 1, Dale wrote up and crafted some messages, and I basically copied and pasted those, kind of giving some of the pre-story, or Jeff gave the story to us. We were able to communicate that out pre-hand, so they had some idea of what was going on around them. So Dale
What's
was
pre-hand?
the Allied pre the weekend, 2 weeks before, 3 weeks before.
Beforehand?
It's beforehand. Sure,
Okay.
that sounds better.
Before, it's kind of the same thing.
Sure.
I've heard it. I've heard pre-hand. I don't know why
I've heard
pre-hand.
pre-cook. It's all good. Keep going.
So I think where it comes from is my graphic, my graphic design background. That pre-hand is a type of drawing. It means the same thing. It's sketching out an idea.
Comes from your graphic knowledge, guys.
Yes, graphic knowledge. Yes. Anyway,
Perfect.
it's different worlds colliding.
Is it graphic or graphic?
It's not. It's not GIF. How's that sound? You
Sorry,
wanna
I
get
didn't
into
mean
a
to
tangent?
chant. No,
Yeah,
let's go.
no. Let's keep going. All right. So beforehand, is that better, Pat? We were
that's
able to
great.
communicate. We were able to communicate out some of this stuff to them, getting the ball rolling and letting them start talking to each other. And I think we saw a little bit of that. I don't know how much the Allies did. I kind of ignored most of their stuff, but
They did a little bit. The biggest thing the Allies did was I was accused of being a spy for the Japanese.
I did get copied on that one.
So
I read that one too. It was pretty funny, but so they were sharing their lists and trying to figure out like if anyone was able to budge or like fudge their list to maybe get an intelligence officer in there. And then late when Pat sent out the last email saying, "Hey guys, nobody has an intelligence officer. Maybe you should do this," they started firing
I
out
left
emails
out maybe.
again. What I was being more kind than you were, but
Sure.
so
Not gonna apologize
we
for
set
that.
this up weeks in advance. No, I would not apologize for that one. But we basically were giving them some of the story, trying to feed it to them. Unfortunately, the packets didn't get done until the week before, so we sent that out pretty late. But at least they got it before the tournament, so they got a good chance. And most of the fair number of the scenarios were exactly the same. So
Half.
Well, yeah,
Half
good
of the
point.
non-objective scenarios were the same.
Yeah, so they got to see a
But
couple.
we didn't
and
tell
I
them
don't
that.
think-
right.
No. We didn't say anything either way.
So, yeah, I mean, the idea in the pre-hand phase is that we get the teams together so that they can begin to kind of do this whole pre-planning thing and talk a little bit. In addition to that, we kind of want to spoon feed them some additional information so that they can begin to plan, if they're being aggressive, on an aggressive list or defensive, and those kinds of things. And so we want some things to be familiar, but we do like to hold things back so that we can do these big surprises on the day of tournament. So the idea is to, as early as we can, start building that narrative. And so the role play aspects of the communications from high command or, field offices and the field manual and all those kinds of things is just to kind of build in this whole kind of, in backing up Jeff's narrative and all the special things to make it one of those unique events that people hopefully will travel and come to. So, and we should be able to improve on that as we go forward. So.
Yeah, and I feel like this year ran smoother as far as that than it did last year. Even we were able to do more. I feel like we were able to do more, or at least I felt more comfortable being that person that's basically helping them interface with everything that they're doing. I kind of felt like their computer, and they were just like, "How are we? What does this do?" I'm like, "Well, I can tell you what that does, or I can confirm that this is actually what was the intent of that." So I was able to do a lot of that kind of stuff for them during the week or during the
But you're
during
more
the
of a
weekend,
Bing
so.
search engine than a Google, though, right? Where you can get them the exact
Well,
answer you're looking for.
it was a little bit. Well, it was a little bit slower, but it was at least. Well, typically I'd come talk to you guys and be like, "Hey, is this really what we meant to do with this? I'm not going to make this decision on my own," and then make sure Dale knew the same thing, so that when this is getting communicated out, or the way Dale communicated it, I was able to communicate it. But we'd been able to get these guys in their own groups. I can't explain why that was more efficient. It was more efficient, though. I feel like, in a sense that
I think the
was easier.
The big
to
improvement
get
in
around.
that for the table thing is that we just said we have objective tables and non-objective
Yes.
tables. We didn't try to
Right.
do the A, B zone, whatever.
Yeah, the no zone thing
much
was
better
much
to not
much
do that.
much a much larger
Oh my
improvement.
god! And we had a total of 14 tables, so we had 9 non-objective tables, and we had 3 tables that basically weren't going to be used. So in between rounds, I would go and arbitrarily select 3 tables that wouldn't be used and let you guys know which ones those were, and we let them pick where they showed up, which made my life a hell of a lot easier, let me tell you.
I feel like it wasn't very arbitrary, though. I feel like you kept closing down the one that my favorite table. I know it's a pain in the butt to play on, though. Was that the city board that Jacob Richards painted? I was like, the table is so pretty, it's just not getting played. But
They
whatever.
were all arbitrary and determined by a random sequence of events that I
Oh, it's
programmed
fine.
into Excel.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
That's the company line.
I believe it. Fair enough. All
And
right.
so, yeah, before the first round, like Rick alluded to, I was the Allied, we said attaché, and he was the Axis attaché, and so we would break off into our group for a 30-minute planning phase. And that's
Dale.
all I'm going to
Yeah.
say about that. So,
Okay.
It's like the forest.
Well,
it was like
no,
the
I mean,
forest.
If you're
That was
pausing for dramatic effects, we missed it.
no, that was
worked.
just
I
to
was-
kind of set up more of again, we're talking about the narrative thing, and the team aspect, and putting the control of the tournament kind of into the hands of each of the individual teams.
Yeah.
And so, as far as my approach to it was, initially just to let them know, to reaffirm exactly what each one of the objective tables was, as far as what the rewards were, and then that they needed to evaluate how important those were leading into the next round, and then how the matchups worked, which was to say that they determined where they wanted to play. And I think beforehand we said that, there aren't really any rules as far as that goes, other than not to be rude. But if you want to stand in and gather intel in another team's group and they're not smart enough to shoo you away, you can kind of do that. So
we did say it up front that, if you wanted to walk close to your buddy who was on the other side and pretend to care what he was talking about for a second and overhear things, you could do that.
Yeah, it didn't seem to be a big deal, though.
No, it didn't seem to be a big deal. If you wanted to see the other players kind of walk around and, because you can go and look at the tables, you've got the scenarios, so you know how it's going to play, and you can evaluate where you think you might have a better chance of performing. Like if you've got something, let's say, with Tiger Fear, and there's a board with not a lot of line of sight blocking, then you might want to consider that to be a valuable place to play. Things like that.
We will increase the line of sight blocking for next year.
No, we won't.
I know we had more than a couple of tables that didn't have tigers show up on them whatsoever, and I could see why. I'm like, oh, I could see why they didn't do that. Okay, sure, we can fix that in the spirit of fairness for those that don't, for the allies that don't have tiger. Of course, I might be partial because I play British myself, but still, just saying, we can fix that.
Man, there's plenty of heavily densely terrained boards. A few open boards, just stay away from it if you can't handle the tiger fear.
Or, if you actually shoot at the tiger, you don't suffer tiger fear. So if you have something that can deal with it, then you can lay a trap for a tiger.
There were a fair amount of fireflies in the ranks, so that's for sure. And those are good kitty hunters.
Exactly.
I think the planning phase this year went better than last year because we had a fair number of return players who kind of understood what this was all about. And I don't think I had anyone kind of really step up too much in regards to like leadership, I would say. They all actually worked really well together and talked, especially in the subsequent phases. And we can talk about that when we get past that. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
I will agree. I think on our side that same thing happened where I don't know if you had any of this happen, but I did have a few players that were a little more reserved, or they're not used to this. I think they might have been new this year. I don't remember seeing them last year, where they were like, I don't care where I am, they're used to the old format of, I get assigned to table 3, I go play at table 3. So they were like, just put me wherever. And there was I think I had, how many guys were on each side? 12, 11 on each side? 11 on each side. So I thought we had 3 that were kind of like, I will play wherever, I don't really care. And then I had the other 8-ish people were gung-ho in the idea, and they were able to work together and collaborate. And I was able to, part of my job was basically to make sure those 3 people had tables and that they were, not getting stuck at the same table or playing the same opponents. So
right. I guess there is a little bit of that, and the idea is that we want to accommodate as many types of players as we can. I think for those players, as I began to kind of recognize and pick up on that, I wanted to see what I could do to kind of help them. Well, what kind of list do you have? And what do you think you would be really good at? And then what about this table or this? Because, the objective tables, you have to play on it at least once. And so I might have had a few players that weren't excited about that because there's a little bit of added pressure. And so, that's kind of fun in the negotiation state or planning stages towards the end of the tournament, trying to work out, because they kind of got into it as the tournament went on. It was fun.
Yeah. And all of those guys did well with that too. They figured out their lists and stuff too. So
I can confirm that we actually did have every player played at least once on objective table, and nobody played more than twice.
Hey,
way
to follow the
rules. Good job,
rules.
guys.
Yeah, way to go, Dale.
We held up our side of that. Nice.
Right. We did something right, apparently.
All right. So we met for half an hour. We got through some of the questions about the stuff that they basically had just been told. So
was a half hour too long? Do you feel? Was it too short? Was
no,
it?
No,
that was the right amount of time. Okay.
I think it's perfect.
I think any more and you might start getting bored, but I think half hour gives you enough time for people. And I don't think people were taking half an hour, but if we allocated less, in our schedule, it'd screw things up.
They might feel rushed. So, which is what last year we had 15 minutes, and I think that's kind of what
it
was
too
fast.
Too fast.
It was too fast. It didn't give anybody the opportunity to actually have a discussion. They're like, okay, what table are we need? We just need to get shit assigned now because we're
also
running out of time right now. So.
We're not pushing the full GT, which is the 5 games, 2 days. We're doing 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday. Not starting at 6:30 in the morning or whatever, making you get up that early. We're starting at 9:30, 10 o'clock. Very easy, relaxed, a nice hour for lunch, and I noticed this year that there was a lot more people that came back for Saturday night and played games in the hall than I've seen before in other tournaments, which I thought was really cool.
I will say I think that's a direct reflection of only having 2 games that day.
Yeah.
Like I've been in enough tournaments where you play 3 days on Saturday and you're like, my feet hurt, my back hurts. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm just going to go drink and not.
And then I'm not sure if I want to come back tomorrow, but I probably will because I paid for it.
Yeah, you have to. You kind of have to. Yeah, you feel obligated, but you're like, pop some Tylenol and go suffer through another day. And I think 4 games for a lot of these players is probably, other than the guys that were running around the table in the middle.
I was going to bring that up, that our other major snafu, and we acknowledged this in the round 1. The trouble is that both Jeff and I wrote the scenarios to be short end and didn't really talk to each other or recognize that we had done that. And we put them both in the middle because they were new and we wanted to keep them secret away from the Recon Rumble. And then we're like, hey, do you realize this year there's no gaps between the tables? We're like, oh. Yeah, that kind of sucks. Well, at least round 1, I think it was Ian and Jason in round 1 in that center sub table. I brought them water. I just want to say that. They're very appreciative of it. And then round 4, John Sense is like, do you know you shouldn't have put this in the middle of the room? We're like, thanks, didn't occur to me, John. It's late Sunday. Thank you for bringing it up. Totally missed that.
We've literally been watching people sweat 10 pounds off while they're walking around this table.
And that's probably why there was one of the rounds we alluded to. Someone played it long edge to long edge instead. We're like, we're not walking around. No, that has to be a typo. We're doing it this way.
Right. We mistakenly read it the wrong way. All right. Yeah, no, that was really, it was funny, but kind of not at the same time. We talked about even thinking about trying to move them Saturday night. And we did,
and then that went to the wayside as we started having our own shenanigans ourselves.
Right,
that was a good time though.
So round
apologies to those people who had to do the center. It wasn't our intention. We had thought we were going to have the same setup as we did last year, which there was gaps between all tables, and that wouldn't have been a problem. And then we got there, and our focus was let's set up and not pay attention to anything else, and that's what we did.
Sure,
had the blinders on, went,
So there's an improvement. There's another improvement we'll make for next year. It's not. I don't think it's a big deal. I mean,
we're up to 2.
Some guys got some exercise. That's okay. Well, I've got a couple other things written down too, but we'll talk about those off the air. The half hour seemed great. I think people started playing earlier than that, which is kind of nice. It was a little bit of a soft start. Like people started moving into their games as soon as they got assigned, and it was I shouldn't say assigned. That's the wrong word. When they got to the table, they had chosen, essentially.
Yeah, they did their
the
matchups.
Table they had
right in.
agreed to play on.
Yeah, yep, exactly. So it was actually really nice to see it kind of just organically go forward, and we were able to get what we needed to get done. And
the players did really well in that regard, too.
Yeah, they jumped right on it and were able to take control. So Dale and I were able to go do our, make sure everybody's playing where we think they're playing, and then hand it off to Pat. And so let's.
You
we're not going
did
to go through
really
each
good
of
for
the
that.
matchups and so.
Up until round 4 when you didn't turn those back into me, and I had to go back to the scorecards to find out the assignments.
I swear didn't we give them to you?
Dale gave me
we
his.
did. Oh well, sorry. I don't know what happened to mine then. It's probably still in a pair of jeans I own.
Probably stuck in a link trap somewhere.
Yeah, maybe
Wrapped up in a kid's diaper.
Well, then they're long gone. That's long gone. Then that does not
But
stick around long enough.
that's
to
why
do
we
anything.
told them to put down the numbers on their score sheet. So, and that's
Sure.
why I kept all those. In fact, I even ran into an audit situation on myself in the Recon Rumble where I had some discrepancy, and I'm like, hang on, wait a minute. So for the record, I keep all those. In fact, I still have all of them. I could tell you who voted for who on what. So
he has a file retention process of at least 7 years. So we'll make sure
we'll
to
be
have
going
them
for
on here.
ISO 9000. So we'll have to do that for 7 years.
Yeah, right. And then they're actually in Iron Mountain right now. Is that where they are? No.
No,
Anyway.
they're
Iron box.
Iron box, lockbox.
They're in a safety deposit box.
guarded by
today.
dragons.
Sweet. This is getting cool.
No, they're just
All
like
right.
Age of Sigmar dragons. They're not that tough.
So let's bust out round one. So round one happens 2.5 hours later. Who is standing on top of the first dust pile? I think it's a big dust pile, by the way. Like, holy cow! I was shocked. Who wants to say it?
Really? The Axis doubled up the Allies hard. Literally, 102 to 51. You can't get more literal double up than that.
And I think they won every objective table.
They
Correct.
won every objective.
Let's see.
Yep.
Well,
they did.
there was. Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
they
they
actually
did.
had every table.
Yeah, they had.
I don't know
had
that they
every one
got
of them.
every bonus, but they had won every table. I know that they didn't get one of the bonuses, if I remember correctly. I don't think they got the Enigma.
They
machine.
did not get the Enigma machine.
Yeah, so they
But they
did
had
not
won the
get
table.
everything, but they won the table.
Yeah.
So they doubled up the points. So it was like
Because some
me as
fool
the,
for the Axis, not to call it Jason, who didn't have an intelligence officer. Let me double check. Was he on
Oh.
that one? He won though. His Italians whooped out. It was a club. It was a club duel, so we can do that. Jason versus Ian,
Yep.
and Jason without an intelligence officer did beat Ian.
Playing as Chinese.
Yeah, Italians versus Chinese in the middle of the European theater. Why wouldn't that be a
Totally
problem?
makes sense.
This is narrative, guys. Come on.
You can't make
Perfect.
this shit up. I'm just saying.
Perfect. Let's yeah.
It was a major victory. No, sorry, it was a minor victory to the Italians
Ooh,
with the secondary
okay.
objective achieved. Did we cover the secondary objectives for this one?
We talked
No.
about them on the Recon Rumble breakdown.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
So we have
We
the
didn't
same
talk
cards
about
with
it,
with a minor switch up. So
Right.
there's just a different set of 5 cards. So I think instead of doing the assault on the open top, it was just destroy an armored vehicle was the one switch out I had made. But
Okay.
same concept.
Yeah, but you didn't play those on any of the objective tables. We didn't really go into the other scenarios at all, so
Right.
Yeah, kind of glossed over that. But yeah, so we had a similar secondary objectives were hidden card thing, which is really I think is fun. So I'm glad we pulled it over into SNAFU as well. So the moment I saw in this that I thought was hilarious is Dale's table, the colors table. Eric Hagan had his I think it was an M4 Scout. Which one's the half track for the Americans, Jeff?
M5.
M5. So he had his M5 armored transport, literally rubbing paint through like this alleyway.
That's right. I remember this now.
Like literally would have like if it happened in real life, the dude couldn't have driven more than a mile an hour and would have ripped the mirrors off of the thing. But they allowed it because they discussed it, and he's like, "Yeah, it works. It fits through there." It was hilarious because there was no way in hell it would have actually ever happened. They would have gotten stuck, and some dude would have popped the front of it, and they would have been stuck in that little. It would have been a death trap, is what it was. But super funny to see. I'm like, Eric, is that like literally like hugging both buildings? He's like, yep, it fits. I'm like, all right, it's not my game. You guys determined it was just funnier now. Anyway,
Well, I guess he didn't use the 148 model. He stuck to the 152.
maybe there must have been. It was the smaller one. I'm pretty sure you're right.
Yep.
It would have jammed
So-
it pretty good.
So as the Allies attaché, I got to be the guy that gave them all the hype they wanted, and I'm sure Dale had to yell at his people.
I was the Allies attaché. You were the Axis.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was the Axis one, but I got to be like, here's your bonus, and here's your bonus. I felt like Oprah, and it was interesting to see how they worked it into the next negotiation or like the next planning phase, they were doing a little horse trading, like, oh, I'll give you the artillery strike if you go play on this table against this person or whatever. So they did a bunch of stuff like that, or like, we need you to go play here, and like, well, fine, give me the artillery strike then, or give me the intelligence officer. They did a bunch of stuff like that. I thought was very interesting. So I found that fun. I can't remember what was the other thing that happened in round 1 was the guy that was playing the artillery table yelled at me, and he's like, I have an artillery strike available. I think it was round 1. And he's like, I want you to figure out where it goes. And I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, that's not my job. Like, that's way above my pay grade. I'm just here as your messenger. And he's like, I don't care. Just go figure out where it needs to go. I'm like, well, shit. I'm like, okay. So I'm wandering around, and I see John probably didn't need it, but his army was about to get...
Probably.
Did you use the word John and probably in the same sentence?
Yes. Well, here's the thing. He was facing down, like, I think 20 Gurkhas.
Yeah.
Josh Dunn?
Yeah. Yeah, so Josh's list was looking kind of like, oh, this could go really bad for John. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry, Josh. What's going on you, man?
John does that just as a bait up until turn 5. You haven't played John.
Guys,
we should hook you up for the game with John. You'll find it out.
No, I know, but the Gurkhas were not... I think John was even kind of sweating that one a little bit. Maybe not.
John will even say, oh my God, you're kicking my ass all the way up until turn 4 when he turns around and flips the table on you.
Yeah, well, I think the artillery strike kind of ruined it for Josh. So, put a bunch of pins and stuff, whatever. So, that was round 2.
That was the very first
during
round.
round 1.
The very first
Yeah,
turn.
it was during the round.
Very first round, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they called it in during the game. So,
because I remember Josh looking at me like going like, "What? Really? This table?" And like, do you know how this works? Josh is like, "I play British. Yes, I know how this works."
So I did go to every table. To be fair, I looked at every table, and like you said, they doubled up on the allies. It was like none of the other tables really were looking like that bad. And I'm like, well, 2 units of Gurkhas sitting there. I'm like, that's gross. That's the worst thing I can see from walking around all the tables.
That's because you haven't had Gurkhas on your side yet. That looks magnificent.
Well, right. Well, being on that side of the fight, I knew I had to do with it. So I didn't want to be that person. I didn't want to have to be involved in that. But I was just like,
you should not have been. You should have dismissed yourself from that decision altogether.
And I did determine after that. I'm like, if anyone asks me again, I will randomly pick a table. Like,
so literally next year it'll be whoever holds their hand up the longest or can perform the most jumping jacks, which I know is a stretch for a lot of us.
Right,
will get the attention.
Yep.
If
we'll
that's
point out to the player who hasn't said, this guy has been standing there and actually jumping for over 10 seconds. Maybe pick him.
I thought,
or he's going to die and we need the MH.
I was thinking about this earlier. Kind of a fun way to do it is there's radio breakdowns all the time, and if all you hear on the radio is, airstrike or artillery strike available, saying coordinates or request assistance, if anybody is interested in that, you go to them and, okay, you can send a message that consists of 3 words. What are you sending? And you mark them all down, and then you go and you read that to the person with the artillery strike, and you have to tell,
there you go.
and they have to decide which one of these do they feel is urgent enough that they're going to drop it on.
I like that.
Actually, that might slow things down a little.
That
too
could
much,
slow things down. So,
but it would be maybe that's only when they're like, I don't know who I need to put this on. I'm like, well, here you go. I'll help you, but it's going to be.
It doesn't affect their game. None of them care.
Right.
I mean, and their direct what's going on right now is like, I'm still focusing on this, whatever's happening with that. But, yes, you need to do it in the sense of, hey, intelligence officer or first Louis, second Louis, this has come back as in response to your, we have an airstrike or artillery strike available. What are your orders? And they just have to go, well, I don't know. Then nothing comes in. If they say, I don't know, nothing happens.
Something maybe we can refine. It's all about being able to tell a story or something. So
yeah,
it is.
No, it was funny.
I really like the interrupting dies. Like, complete your dice, gentlemen, and airstrike is coming in this table. Like, what?
I love that.
Yeah,
that was so cool.
Depends on which side of it you were on, I think.
There were a lot of people who understood and learned what happened during an airstrike at that tournament that probably had no idea before that.
not something, well, or felt the disappointment of never seeing the damn plane show up.
There was one table that there was 2 airstrikes, an artillery strike, and one of them, and all 3 of them went against the opponent. You know, it was like the first one was like, okay, here's yours. Yes, I got an airstrike coming in. Oh crap, it's coming at me. Now his opponent gets the artillery strike. Oh crap, and then he got an airstrike, and oh crap. It's just like, wow, that was awesome and crazy
I think
and bad at the same time.
I was gonna say, I think next year we might have to like maybe limit how many of them.
Not the same table.
Like it felt kind of gross when you're
love.
like, poor Luke was getting slammed on in that one of those rounds where he's just like, he literally got all of the shit that could possibly get landed on him. And he was like, that kind of sucked. Like I can get, like, I don't want it to be like a total downer. It's already kind of shitty when you get an airstrike landing on you, but
that was
2 or
round
3
2
of them would suck.
and no, that was round 3. But the Axis team. Well, let's talk about round 2 then. Well, going into round 2 in my planning phase, I didn't get to hand out any objectives because my team stunk it up.
Stinker.
But there was an opportunity there to kind of say, you know, listen up, guys. This is really bad. You're going to have to do something hardcore to turn this around. And so then they're kind of sat there. They're like, and then I could really see them start to think about, okay, we need to figure out what's important and make this work. So.
Totally, and the results show it, right?
Yeah.
The Allies pulled back in within 20 of the Axis, so they were down 50, and they pulled 30 points out of nowhere on that one.
Yep, they ended up within 16 points after round 2.
Yeah, which is amazing, and I think they ended up with all the objective tables at that round, didn't they?
And they had won all of the objective tables from round 2.
So it's insane the swing that we had from one side to the other, and I thought that was really cool to see how close it actually came.
Jeff, do you want the caveat in that one?
Uh-oh.
No.
No, let her go. Woohoo, go. Way to swing back. Was never designed to become close later at all. It was good job.
Totally was not designed to get closer if one side was just Raffle stomping the other. I would never do that.
We wouldn't. We wouldn't like to have the tournament be hinging close within 50 points every single round. We would not like that. That would not be fun. We want total stomp outs.
Right. No, I found it to
but
be
the
very
objective
cool to see how
tables,
close
that's their own assignment. They pick their own tables.
Right.
We can't control that. We can only control how you win or lose.
And it doesn't change. Those points don't change. Like, those things are there, and they're just set. They're set. You're not changing those. The scenarios on the outside change, but not so much on the inside.
Right.
Cool. So again, then I got to do nothing that. So okay, so let's pause there because it's basically Saturday night now. Dinner upstairs. We just had dinner at the hotel this
Don't
evening.
remind me.
Right, I know. I had
we had some
cooked,
fantastic roast
steak.
beef. I mean, prime.
We did actually
what
have
do they call
some
it?
fantastic roast beef
with
It
some
was
sour
very
cream.
good roast beef.
Yeah,
with some sour cream.
with some sour cream, which was supposed to be horseradish sauce and prime rib, but it wasn't. And they didn't have potatoes. But I had a nice steak with mashed potatoes, exactly cooked right, well seasoned. It was delicious.
I had a good Cuban sandwich too, actually. So,
and we actually ate as a fairly sizable group. A bunch of our clubmates that were playing in the event stayed and ate with us. Pim, who had eaten dinner with you guys the night before, came and sat.
For some reason, ate with us again. I don't know.
Yeah,
well,
most people run terrified.
And Sean also sat with us, so Wahoo Warrior sat with us. And those two guys had determined prehand that they were
He was
going to play
looking for
a game.
content, I'm sure.
Probably. But they're talking shit during
yeah,
dinner.
there's quite a bit of
Yeah, there was
smack
some
talk.
betting going on there. And then actually, Wahoo Warrior and Pim threw down via bolt action after that too.
I'm glad you clarified that they didn't go outside and throw punches at each other. That's
We could have sold tickets to that too. I mean,
probably would have been interesting, but I don't think anyone wanted to.
I don't think they'd cover the airfare for Pim to get back.
Yeah, or the legal fees.
Turns
Either
out we
one
may
of
not
them,
see him
probably.
for 3 years. Sorry, Pim, man, we'll miss you. Good showing, by the way.
Yeah, we'll get through all of that, I'm sure. But so, and then we started doing podcast shit that
and drinking
snafu'd on us, but or on me at least. Yeah, drank a fairly hefty amount.
Yeah.
I had quite a bit.
Someone released the Kraken.
I did bring out the Kraken.
Literally.
Yeah, it was.
And we had some folks
night.
come back and were playing as well. We saw some Two Fat Lardies, What a Tanker being played, and
there's a group playing that, and at least one bolt action game. I think it was only one bolt action game that I saw, but there was a lot of people hanging out. We saw some other people.
Yeah, we mentioned that.
We saw some other people that were other gamers that we had known from other game systems, and that were here for other events.
Bromley showed up.
Yeah,
out of nowhere.
Our long friend. That was impressive. I think he came to see his other dentist friend.
Long lost friend, by the way.
Yeah.
I miss my Jake, but
it felt like like an old time Wapaka Saturday night with just a bunch of people, your great friends and new friends, just hanging out, drinking, playing games, laughing. Yeah, it was awesome. I loved it. So
yeah, no, it definitely had more of a vibe like that this year than last year. In my opinion,
we got to sit down with John Russell and learn about a lot of the Warlord releases coming up for this year.
Yeah, we probably recorded with John for 90 minutes.
Longer.
90 minutes, 2 hours.
Don't remind me to go. I'm not going to go back and look at it. I still have it, but
John, when you hear this, we did unfortunately lose that, and we will have you back on after we get through Battle of France. Expect a phone call, and I know you're going to be right there because you're a bro.
Who John is,
for sure.
Actually, a big shout out.
He said that
to
many
John.
times.
Yeah. He Warlord set up in the vendor hall, and so John was there, and it was super exciting to see. I mean, we're not close to any of the Warlord offices or anything, but they came up and they supported the tournament. John was fantastic. Yeah, great time, great guy, great company.
I'm very kind of heartbroken over this one because he did give us a lot of nuggets of stuff where I was like, this is the most teased out he's ever been with us, where he gives us essentially stuff that I've never even heard existed at this point.
Right.
And Jeff is, so a funny story is we had 6 mics, 2 of them weren't working for some stupid ass reason. It was really frustrating to me, but Jeff and John were sharing a microphone, and Jeff is just like peeking at his cell phone with his calendar of things, and Jeff is just like
foaming at the mouth.
Yeah, you could see his head trying not to explode, and he's trying to I can't say this on the microphone, and he, the whole time. So he was talking about one column of stuff, and it was probably the you can talk about this stuff column and all the other stuff.
Well, it depended on what color it was, because it kind of showed me that too. It's like, oh, so this colors we can talk about, these colors you didn't see those, and I'll be colorblind to that. Sounds great.
Nobody.
I saw those.
Yeah. So anyway, we appreciated the time he sat down with us and talked about all the cool stuff coming. I am excited for the next year of Warlord. I thought that was a really fun time. We also spent some time with the organizers of Renegade, or 2 of the organizers of Renegade. And unfortunately, again, same thing. I had a setting mix up on my new laptop, and it basically made the recordings unusable. So unfortunately, we lost that recording too. But it was appreciated. They were good conversations, but unfortunately, nobody will ever get to hear them.
If nothing else, it was a lot of fun with people talking with headphones on, looking like we cared that it was going to be projected somewhere else. Like, we're cool.
We looked impressive, at least. People
Very
were
much
impressed
so.
by the setup. So
yeah, we looked like a legit podcast.
Right, like we're legit or something. Yeah, we're gonna
don't
laugh
let
at that
the
one.
cat out of the bag now. What the hell?
Oh hell!
So basically, we got shoot out of the room at what time? I don't know. One
or so.
And we
2
did
o'clock a.m.
Oh,
we did get
God, that was awful.
We did get some time with Sean, the Wahoo Warrior, which I think will have already been released by the time people hear this. So
hopefully it will be out before this one, unless Pat is really on the ball with this one. But in the next couple of days, probably. But we got some time with Sean, and I found the setting that was causing issues and fixed the problem.
And that was our last one.
Yeah.
And I get a lot more talkative when I'm drunk, and some of the other guys get less so. So it ended up me talking way more than I probably should have, and I apologize for that, guys. So
Which made for a much
good
better
interview with
podcast
that.
overall, let me tell you.
Right.
Yeah, right. And
You got that
I
nice
will.
voice to listen to.
I will say you were unheard in the other two, so you were talking plenty. You just couldn't be heard.
okay.
Just like random people answering questions, and you're like, Dale must have asked something because I can't hear any of it. So yeah, and appreciate that Sean sat down with us and did that too. So yeah, we drank all the rum. We were out of rum by the end of the night, which
Yeah, we
Why
well
was the
done.
rum gone?
we closed down the rum, so I'm gonna have to
that's-
get 2 bottles of that next time.
Oh, I don't know. That seems like a bad idea. Maybe at least maybe
It's
we get
so
something
good, though.
else. It is, but oh my lord, that's a recipe for I don't know.
Good times.
Good times, yeah, probably just good times. So, yeah, closed out at 2 a.m. Fell asleep just to do it all again in the morning. So I think we had I don't know what you guys did, but I went upstairs and had breakfast with Pat and Pim and Sean again. We all were a little rough for wear, I think.
Yep.
I went and got some fresh fruit. I think that's what I ended up
Okay.
doing for breakfast.
I was gonna say we did the brunch special, so
Okay.
like we cranked out some food down there.
What's this breakfast you speak of?
Yeah, right. I know. I needed something because otherwise I was going to make it through that day. That would have been it wouldn't have been quite as Adepticon-y as Adepticon was, but my body was a little sore. Like not gonna lie, that was a long night of rum drinking. So
Yeah.
yeah, I had a good time. So Saturday or Sunday morning, then we basically started the same thing again, but we
Yep.
were sitting in a little bit different boat where things were close, like close.
Yep.
Like damn close. I was like, uh-oh. So, nothing really changed other than who was playing where, and
Yep, and the Allies had all of the objectives, so they got to kind of figure out what they wanted to do. And Luke ended up getting pounded because he was playing on the board that the bonus armored car, because we had the Enigma machine, we knew where it was going to go.
Yep.
And the team, the Axis, or the Allies were like, okay, we really want this to happen, so we're going to put our additional resources to help achieve that particular goal. So they overlapped their bonuses to propel them towards victory on that board.
Right.
So.
They started figuring out what these things were, and they're like, oh, we have to start making this synergize, essentially.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it really...
So that was
Because it's
Luke and Ian, by the way, that had Game 3 on Table 4. And that was the first time, second time it had been blocked from getting off. The first time, the armor car, just to recap, back up, armor car got off on Table 3. That sounds terrible. Escaped from Table 3. Was blocked from escape on Table 14, where we had Tony and Ian had played. And then you mentioned that Luke and, it looks like, Mike, no, Table 4 was not Mike Gerald. Was it Mike Gerald? It was Mike Gerald again. Gerald, which one is it again? I always forget. Gerald. And Kevin were on for Game 3, and it was blocked again there. So,
Well done, Allies. I think once the Allies figured out what it did, they
once
were like...
they figured out, gave bonuses, they're like, let's stop this, seriously?
Yeah.
And they did, because it went escaped, blocked, destroyed. So...
Yes.
It became important after that.
Yeah, we're going to figure out how to, make it so Luke isn't going to get body slammed again. But other than that, I think, it was a really
Luke
cool
had a very tough tournament.
component.
He had some tough matchups all the way through.
Yeah.
Some tough assignments, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of it. And we'll get into some of that in a second, I think, too. So, you had all the bonuses, and my Axis players pulled it out. Got some more points off you guys. A little bit.
Yeah.
Just
Despite
a little
the
bit.
leadership.
Despite all of your efforts at trying... Well, you guys captured all the objective tables that round, and the Allies still weren't able to get enough points out of it. So, I wonder, does that mean that the sub-table must have not gone the way I expected it to?
John Stentz was playing on the sub table.
No, he was not.
No.
Not until
Oh
round
no,
four.
he wasn't.
So him and this is him
Round
and Whopping
three,
Warriors.
it was Mikey and Tony.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So I don't know who won that one. Who won that one? Out of
don't know who won
curiosity,
that
there's
one
two
either.
very competent generals.
Oh, would
Fighting
you like
for
me to
that.
look it up?
If you could.
Could you please?
Yeah. So going
Mike,
into
let me just say, Mike, who was the USO Bob Hope winner, did in fact lose that table.
Okay. So that's how they were able to still get some points out of it.
It was
even though-
it was a minor victory though.
Okay. So it was a tough fought match,
Yeah,
which
so-
I assumed it would have been.
coming into
Very
round
cool.
3, there was a
It was
16
table
point
7, right?
lead.
Wait, hang on, table 7.
Yep, table 7. Yep,
Yeah.
correct.
Yes, that was Mikey,
Yeah.
who
Okay.
scored a whopping 3 points, which meant he had the secondary
Yeah.
objective because was not ended a draw.
Right.
Yeah, so that was not good for him. He did not do
No.
well, but apparently was a hell of a champ doing it. Which we've played him before. The guy's a lot of fun to play against. There's no surprise he
Oh
won.
God,
that.
yeah.
Pretty well.
Yeah.
So
I was so
we're alluding
I was
to it,
so
we might as
happy
well just
that-
say. What
I was
did you
really
win,
happy to
Pat?
see him in our tournament. He won. We already told you the USO. He was the best. He was the best.
Oh,
favorite player.
Sorry, I thought you were-
favorite
yeah.
opponent.
There you go.
Yeah. And that's not a
Okay.
surprise if you've ever played him or even talked to him about games. It just he is really just cool, easygoing. He encourages and reminds you about bonuses you're supposed to have that you forgot about, and wants to make sure you get them. And that he's just
Right.
yeah.
Well, if he wants to beat you, he's going to beat you remembering all the
In
rules.
Warhammer.
He's not going to let you forget
No.
something to
No,
try
not
and
at all.
win, right? There are players that are like that, or just be like, I'm not going to remind you about, Tiger Fear,
Yeah.
right? Like, you're going to forget it, you're going to forget it. That's on you. Where Mike is
Right.
very much the opposite. He's a gentleman as far as playing games. He's like, dude, I have a Tiger Fear check. Let me check. And he'll do it for you. He'll remind you for you.
He'll even go back to you know what? I should have done Tiger Fear first. Let me go back to do that before you. And okay, I missed it. Put those 6 guys back on. Never mind.
Yep.
That's the way
he's
he
a-
plays.
Yep. He's a very gentle. He's a good gentleman as far as that. Well deserved award for him. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
which is funny that he did come up and ask me. He's like, "So, I'm going to go home. Is that okay? Do you think there's any reason why I can't go home at the end of the tournament?" And I'm like, I don't think you're in the running to win. Like any of the big awards. So I was like, "Nah, you're probably fine."
Nah, he was the only one who went 3 for 3. You went 3 out of 4 for a favorite opponent.
yeah, we don't
so.
get those votes until after the games are played.
Yeah,
and
no, I didn't.
There
I
were
didn't
still
think
games
about
being played at that point. Yeah.
I didn't think about the sports award. It was the one that I wasn't thinking about. I'm like, well, did you win all your games? Then you're probably not in the running for
But
best
he had a
outlier
girl there
overall.
who claimed he would take that and give it to him. So I should probably follow up with that at some point to make sure that happened.
He definitely did. I'm sure he
Yeah.
did. They see each other every Thursday.
I
have strong faith
Just
in Eric to do
saying.
his job.
I know. Eric Hagg's a good guy. Absolutely.
It may take him a month, but he'll get it back to him. Don't worry. I'm sure
He might forget it for 6 or 7 times and, wait for the coupons to expire and have spent them already and go, oh, sorry, bro, I just figured you'd want me to have these because I accepted the award for you, but you can have the plaque. Is that cool?
Yeah. I was going to say the plaque is probably the least of Mike's things. He's got so many damn plaques over the years. Not going to lie.
Yeah.
That dude won some awards over
Just gonna
time.
toss it on the pile.
Yeah, just like,
Yeah.
all right, here's another one on my wall.
Yeah, but all you bolt action players,
Wah, wah.
be wary when he actually catches on to how the game is played, because, oh boy, he's good.
Yeah, no. So, the Axis players are still up.
Yeah, so it was 13, a lead of 13 going into round 3. Coming out of round 3, the Axis had extended their lead to 26 points. So,
Yay!
yeah.
We didn't really have as many. The objective table split a little bit more this time.
Yeah, they
I
had.
feel like so there were some on both sides of it, and the car gotten destroyed or just stopped. It got blocked, but it didn't matter. So anyway, it made a natural flow into the last round. We were able to give our pep talks. Like, this is the final push. Make it count. And I think they made it count.
And Scenario 3 was sectors, which had been played last year, so it should have been familiar to some. It was all about moving, not just sitting there hoping.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it was modified sectors too, which I do like the difference that we make with that one.
I meant SNAFU sectors.
Yeah,
Right.
There you go. Yeah.
Yes.
So I don't know if there were like. Well, here's the interesting one: is that they put. So the Axis players put John Stentz, who we all know we talk him up enough. They put him on the submarine board.
You're talking round 4?
Round 4. Like going into round 4, the plan was John had not played any objective tables day 1 to play on objective tables day 2. So I know, like, sorry, I'll jump back to round 3 again because John and Sean Vilmont, the Oahu Warrior, had a grudge matched, and the only way they were going to end up playing each other was on an objective table. So I think they picked the artillery table.
Artillery. Yep.
Yep.
And I want to. You still have that spreadsheet open because I'm kind of curious how that one ended.
Not well
was,
for the Oahu Warrior.
Yeah, it was a
bummer.
victory for John.
Normally, that's the kind of. I think Sean's still waiting for the win. He's got a couple draws, but I don't think he's got the win yet. But
I think
So
that was-
it was a John Stentz with the. We're gonna have to. What to call that? So Sean posted 3 whole points, which is a major loss on an objective table with the no draw.
okay, all right, yeah.
Oh,
Ouch.
sorry, 5, which meant he had a minor loss and secondary objective,
Okay.
which was not to end in a tie. So not terrible.
Okay.
No. And I remember, because I'd watched some of his coverage, and Sean had alluded to the significant amount of drinking he had done the night before.
Oh
Maybe
my God!
Having
And
a
he looked at me
contributing
because
factor.
I'd given him some of my
to his
vodka and
performance.
stuff. He's like, "What else did I drink?" I said, "You asked me for my vodka." He's like, "A what?" Like, well, you asked me for the drink, and I said all I had was vodka. You're like, "I'll take that." I'm like, "Okay, here you go." He's like, "Oh, I don't remember that." Like,
Oh boy.
That sign, yeah.
Well, all right. Well, there we go. It was an interesting. It was interesting to see.
I was
how
bringing
many-
him water glasses the whole morning. By the way, just
That's
because of course they
probably
were
a
in the
good
middle
choice, thank you.
table and they had to walk around the whole time. And that was when John's like, you should have put these in the middle. Like, what? Are you sure? It seems like
that
good
explains
spots
him
for him.
complaining. That explains his complaining a little bit more, though. If he was a little hungover, not having to like, I don't want to move, and you're making me walk. This is not a good choice.
Of all the people, including myself, who are hungover and complain, the Wahoo Warrior is very cordial when he's hungover and complaining.
he's very pacifist when you're what? That's not the
It's
right
like,
word.
I just don't want to be doing this right now, and you're making me do this. Can you do something else? Here's water. Okay, that's good. Thank you. I appreciate that. You're a good guy. I still don't want to be doing
Pat,
this. Well, I can't help that.
Can you get off the bullhorn? We're not on the bullhorn.
Yeah.
I'm just talking normal.
Oh, well, that's cool. Well, thanks for telling me
Tylenol?
that. I appreciate it. That's very good.
Yeah. No, so yeah, I don't. It was interesting to see how many times John got called out for what's the word I'm looking for? It's not called out. Grudge matched into because he had at least 2 grudge matches this weekend.
He had 2.
Did he have?
Yep.
He only had 2. He had Josh
He had
Dunn
2.
and Sean.
Josh won
Belmont
round
from-
1, and then
Yeah.
got an airstrike onto Josh, and then he got Sean for round 3
right.
on the sub table.
Yep, and that one was kind of arranged by Dale and I because that was the only way they were going to end up playing, just because of how the objective tables were going to roll out for the round 4. So yeah, so round
That
4
was the only way you guys could arrange that.
Well,
Right.
no. So Sean had already played on an objective table the previous day, so
Right.
only had one
Yes.
opportunity to play again, and
Yes.
so that's kind of where they ended up landing. So
right. So we determined, Dale and I determined the only place that they were going to end up pairing up is on an objective table, and it was probably it had to be round 1
and
or
we
round
had,
1 on Sunday.
Yeah, the Axis had the had won the partisan table in the previous round, so we knew where John Stentz was playing on which objective table, and Sean and the rest of the team decided that was going to be the matchup for them. So,
Yep. So it was kind of fun to have been able to arrange that a little bit. Kind of be the I don't know. It's not king making in any stretch, but it was they both were in pretty decent shape as far as points goes. So
Yeah, it was a good matchup.
Pretty cool, yeah.
yeah, so it was fun there. And then we're moving into round 4, so we determined the Axis players are up a little bit. Sorry, I jumped back a little bit there. So this
Up by
was
26. Yeah,
Yeah.
Axis
No, I just
was
had some things there
up by
in there,
26.
yeah.
So
So they put John on the submarine board. Submarine board, facing off against Monty and his Soviets, which that one was going to be a tough match. I thought, having watched it, it was a tight match all the way. I think I don't remember who won it. Again, I don't remember.
So
I
the
think I
one
do
thing
now.
that stands out here is that I hadn't caught until much later is that it looked like you had John Stentz was on the artillery board, and
Yep.
then you guys did all your matchups and stuff like that, and then I ran across and talked to 4 different players and said, HQ command is overridden. Whatever your liaison said, you are playing here.
Yep. Yeah. So you did a little bit of pairing with these guys are the highest of the bunch.
We did some
Gotta make
pairing
more.
because there are the golden dog tags on the line. What
Yeah.
that ends up meaning this year to Warlord is what it means to Warlord, and we'll leave it at that. And so we made sure that we had the higher pairings of all Axis and Allies players playing each other, and that came down to the highest were at that stage was John and Monty Lumen, and then also Dave Caven was also tied neck and neck with John Stentz, and the next closest player was Josh Dunn. With the painting score and the all that figured in, he was the next highest. Cool. So we also had that little armored car thing. So while we had the 2 of them pairing off in the subboard for quote unquote the championship plus whatever they had, the little algorithms I had running through for the armored car happened to turn up on table 14, which is what Josh had set his figures down on. I said, "Hey Dave, you're going playing at table 14." He's like, I thought I was going to. No, you're playing at table 14. Just happened to work out that way. Not sure what happened there. So
Yeah, right. Totally
Give them a little.
strange.
Yeah, it's funny how that
most
worked out.
peculiar, yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
Series of unfortunate events for some of that. So I will say I think the coolest moment of the tournament happened in that game with Josh, and it might have cost Josh the game.
Oh my God, this is freaking awesome!
But it alluded, or it shouldn't say it alludes. It illustrates the purpose of our tournament and the stories and all the stuff that goes into it. And it's narrative. It's not completely about me winning or someone winning. It's about the overall experience. So Josh,
If there
gets
had
the
been
airstrike.
a bonus, if there had been bonus for triple super score story points, he would have had it.
And
Absolutely.
there
It's
might
awesome.
be some of that next year in some fashion. I think Dale and I we're figuring out how that would work, but
Yep.
something along that lines. Because if I could have pinned a badge on Josh for this, I would have. Even as the Axis attaché, I would have done it. So essentially, what happened is that Josh got an airstrike from his from the objective table in the middle. I don't know who was on it. Matt Peterson. Was it an airstrike or was it an artillery strike?
Was it? It was during the game, right?
Right.
This was an airstrike.
So an airstrike.
This was an airstrike.
Yeah. So
So-
Matt Peterson Matt Peterson gave him an airstrike in the middle of the game, and they're playing basically on one half of the table. And did the car almost make it to the edge? It was getting close, wasn't it?
It was getting close.
Yeah.
It wasn't that close. It had a chance. It wasn't that close. It had a chance.
It had a fairly significant chance. Dave's army wasn't going to.
Dave was
didn't
very-
have a lot of options to stop.
Dave was,
it, but
pardon the pun, but very cavalier about the armor card on the board.
yeah. But anyway, so Josh decides instead of, I could pin a bunch of Dave stuff down,
And actually get a
secure
win
my
here,
victory.
have a chance.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. I'm going to drop it on the car, which boggles my brain that he decided this, because he's like, well, that's the story. Like, that's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
And like-
Sacrifice now for the better outcome in the end, i.e.,
Yeah.
no tanks on the Pacific Theater.
Yep.
So I was like, damn, like, okay, you just made a decision that cost you the game, but actually, helped your side. Kudos
So
to you.
Josh,
I
if
feel
that
like
plays
was-
if that plays somewhere into your Bug Eater tournament in the summer in June, let us know that, because that'd be great.
Yeah, right.
That sacrifice you made should benefit you somehow, somewhere, something.
you're buying
For sure, because that was way cool. Very on the storyline. Very
awesome.
very well role played, so to speak.
Yeah. So
And he even said the whole time, he's
thought
like,
that was cool.
well, the whole point is to do this and play the campaign, right? Like, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
And so the
Great call.
airstrike comes in, and what happens to that armored car?
Kablooey, right?
Oh,
It
yeah.
was destroyed. So
Nice.
badly destroyed. It was hysterical. It was like
Yeah.
he got like the best plane, the best result, and then box cars on the destroyer, like a 5 or 6 or something. Just like, oh, wow, that is so dead. He's
wrecked.
like, I really should put this somewhere else. I'm like, yep, baby.
Like, in hindsight, after seeing what you rolled, well, maybe. No, that's
Story
that's too
karma,
funny.
gotta love it.
Yeah. No, it made for a great end story of the armored car.
That stuff comes around too. So
Yeah. No, right. So, at the end of the day,
He's not going to Adepticon, is he?
I don't know. I don't sign ups too closely.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't remember discussing it with him.
Just want to make sure I don't play him there. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, that is the other thing, is we took an extra long lunch on Sunday to allow people to sign up for Adepticon, because people made us aware that sign-ups were during our tournament.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Which was good, because a couple of us needed to sign up.
Yeah,
And
and
it was-
Jeff and I did. Thank you.
Yeah. And it wasn't our fault for her scheduling it at that time. That's not, we don't get
The
to pick
tournament
anything.
or Adepticon sign up, but we had no
Right,
control
For
over
once,
either.
it wasn't our fault.
No control whatsoever.
This is new.
Yeah. No, right. That was a first. You're like, yes, we'll make sure that you guys can all take your time and sign up for all your stuff. Don't worry. I don't think anyone was too disgruntled, like they didn't get into their thing. So, who knows? If either
Or
that
they
or
turned
were
what they
very-
wanted.
Right. Jeez. Wow. Yeah. So, do we want to go down how it ended? Who pulled it out, Pat? No?
Really?
Guys, it's getting late. I'm sorry. I'm starting to use words I shouldn't be using, apparently. So who won?
The
Who won
overall
the
tournament.
game?
So it came down to. So you mentioned that at the end of round 3, it was Axis 244, Allies 218. The end and the final result for the Allies managed to climb up to 291,
Jeez.
and the Axis hit 326.
Yeah. No, that's an incredible jump, but not enough.
So they had actually claimed the subboard, which is triple points for their faction at that point at that round.
Okay.
But it came down to our overall winner. You heard this before the break. He won Recon Rumble for the Allies. This time he led the Axis to the victory. It was Dave Caven with the Romanians.
well done, Dave.
Yeah.
Well done, Dave.
Interesting. It was interesting.
You have now got a target on your back. People are going to be gunning for you, man.
They want your dog tags.
So our best Axis player was John Stentz. Our best Allies player was his opponent in the third round, which was a matchup, Monty Lumen. And it came down to that Dave pulled off a major. Even though we threw him the curveball with the armored car around there, he had to deal with and lost it somehow. He still pulled off a major with secondary objectives. And then the best Axis player, hang on, brace yourselves. Do you remember this one from before the break? He won Best Painted. He won Best Painted again.
Yeah.
And he won Best Axis was Jason Myers with the frickin' Italians. Are you kidding me? Maybe they're not so broken, or he's just that good. Don't let him play Germans or British, that's all I'm saying. Don't let him play a different army, because this guy might be really freaking good.
I already know what his next army is, and I'm not going to say it because I don't know if he wants everybody to know that. But
We mentioned
Good
it.
showing overall.
it was
Yeah.
it's a super good looking army, and if anything shows, it takes him a long time to paint an army. So we won't see another army out of him for a little while.
So we got about
Yeah.
3 years before he plays them.
Yeah, but the quality's so damn good.
Yeah, it's worth it. It's worth the wait, but it's just a matter of don't expect anything other than Italians for a little while longer.
Well, and here's I could tell that we sent him home with so many awards he had to go to the hospital next week. So
Yeah.
maybe we shouldn't do that again.
Thankfully, not for a hernia or something, but
Right.
yeah.
Nonetheless, Jason, wish you the best recovery. Hey, your stuff is awesome.
Yeah,
good
get well.
showing. Glad to have you in our
Yeah,
tournaments, and glad to have you in
as
our
I
circle.
say, I think he kind of suffered through that second day, if I remember right. He wasn't feeling super great.
Yeah,
so,
he had
but-
mentioned that too. So, oh wow,
Yeah.
don't wish
Yeah.
it on anybody at all.
Nope.
Wish you the best recovery, man.
Yeah, seriously.
So there
Yeah,
you go.
all right.
That was
a long day,
Yeah.
but well worth
Yes
it,
and
right?
yes.
Like, yeah, I enjoyed myself. I'm sure you guys all did too. I know
Had a
Pat
great
did.
time.
wow,
Yeah.
dude. That was so much fun. You know how long I've been
It-
sitting with that pile of treasures in my in the bottom of my basement, going, "Oh, this is so awesome! I should. Oh, these aren't mine. Oh,
Right, like, I
no, I
can't
do
touch
anything
any
with
of
this.
it.
I can't open it. I can't. Okay, I paint this. I have to paint
Yeah.
a bunch of other stuff, but I get to give these all away to a bunch of people to do a bunch of things, to care about a treasure and stuff that I think is fantastic. I'll say. Mm-hmm. In support of our parent tournament.
Sure. Yeah, let's talk about
Which is
that
the
for like
Renegade
30
Open.
seconds.
Yes.
Like let's just it's
So-
not on the agenda. I'm going to break that for a second, but so
we actually raised
Yeah.
between our two events, we raised over nearly, oh my god, we are so close to over, but nearly $400 between cash donations and actual toys MSRP value for Toys for
close.
Tots.
Nice.
that's awesome.
So close, which is over double what we did last year. So
yeah, I was going to ask that
that's
question.
pretty cool.
So
That's
good.
awesome.
Yeah.
And,
well done, everyone.
And to be honest, we were about 3/4 of the support that we had got last year. So,
Okay.
kind
So
of pushing
a
more
little
for
less
our
than we got
supporters
last year.
there. And maybe this format that we did was a little better. And I will be this week sending out an official email to our supporters, informing them of exactly what they had done, accomplished, and given this to us, and compared that to our results from last year, and in the hope to push for next year. And also those that silenced us this year, I'll be sending the same thing, and that we didn't talk about them at all. You wonder how it's done. This is the magic. This is what happens behind the scenes.
Got it. Yeah. No, so you're working on the pile for next year already. Great. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
That takes I'm sure that's like the one thing that takes like 12 months. Like quite honestly, I could see that taking forever.
It's a lot of correspondence. It's a lot of
Yeah.
bookkeeping. You have to keep
Yeah.
track of who you talk to, because if you hit them twice, they ignore you.
Right.
So
Sure. Yeah. You start
It's like
getting
an
in your
auto
spam
ignore.
folder. Yeah.
Yep.
No, totally see all of that. And on top of that, it's probably a waiting game on top of that. So you got to send an email and just wait, and then like a week later they email you.
Well, you get a lot of, the ones in Europe are very excited to want to do it, but then they don't realize just how badly that their VAT and their shipping just makes it not competitive. So
Right. Yeah.
I want to try and now that we've got most of our overhead taken care of for the first 2 years, that our table wise and what we do for us and our mats, stuff like that is taken care of, that we can redirect a lot of these the ticket costs to, I'll say projected ticket costs, because whatever they are, I have no idea, to actually maybe doing that in advance and getting those discounts in advance, and then bringing those products with our cost over to us to present to the players. So
Sure. That would be cool.
you might even see there's a couple complete table scenario kits that you can bring together from EU Game Match, which is awesome. They're really good. I'm really happy for their sponsorship, but they just was too high of a cost for shipping to get them out of there. But their overhead gone, we can maybe bring some of those over. So that's all I'm saying. I'm working on it. I got a whole year, for Christ's sake. Let me work.
So
We got time.
the aesthetics is kind of like year 3. That's what it sounds like. Cool.
Yeah. So basically, I go with whatever I really, really want. I manage to try and work and go to this is cool. This I would want this, and then cool. I get this. They go, I gotta give this to somebody, don't I? Damn it! Get through.
But at least you get to see it beforehand and be like, okay, I'm going to order one for myself too. That's fine.
I do, and then once in a while, I get a player who is as excited about a book I had, and see him come up 3 different times, going, "I need to increase my chances, increase my chances, increase my chances," then finally get it.
Yes.
Or like Dave, hide it under a pile of stuff and hope nobody else has seen it.
No, actually, that was Dave.
Yeah,
He did both.
Dave, he did both. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, that book he picked up, the volume 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we're still on the pre-advanced list for volume 2, which those kind of books are like 6 years apart to get those kind of stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, that was a really good book. By the way, Dave,
Okay.
I did read all that and look at the pictures first. Just saying.
He just reads it for the pictures. The articles.
He broke the spine for you.
That wasn't one of those, Osprey Publishing. That was Osprey Publishing, but that wasn't part of the pack for the tournament. That was just part of the, as we get for, the books we get for the bolt action stuff like that. That was one of those just bonus ones he threw in. I'm like, oh, Christian, this is awesome. This is a great book. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
that was really good. Cool. But it was such a good book, and I read through it and saw the pictures. Those pictures had never been released ever before. All those pictures of the books are completely brand new.
Really?
They're great, yes. They had not been seen ever. That was like the big cliche about the whole thing. And the stories and the behind it is really good read. And I was actually, I read that one actually gloves on because I knew it was from Osprey, and I wanted to make sure I got that back into our prize support. So that's the kind of stuff we get that I make sure we get back out to our.
Okay.
So
no, that's rad. No, it was a good time, and well done on the prize report and getting all that cash for Toys for Tots, which I think is a great. Personally, I find that the best part about it is that they're supporting a huge charity. So,
and local too for us. That's great.
Yeah,
isn't Toys for Tots nationwide, or is it not?
It is, but for what Renegade Open does, they support our local charity in the MSP area.
Okay, yeah. So they're trying to they're supporting the region they're in. That makes sense.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. I think that's where we'll leave it. Thank you guys again for joining us for this podcast, as well as those that showed up for the tournament. It was a good time. I haven't heard any negative stuff yet about the tournament. Has anyone else? I've only gotten positive, and I've gotten quite a bit more positive stuff.
Just the long walk for the 2 objective hit.
Yeah,
we'll fix that.
People wanted to burn my windmill.
Yeah, and those are all minor things, right? Those are like.
Those are things I can fix.
Yeah, those are all things we can fix. Not like your format sucks, right? Like nobody came up with
line objective,
like that.
line obstructing stuff. Yeah,
more along the lines of like this is everyone had fun. Outside of having to walk a little bit, which never hurt anyone, quite honestly.
I brought them water.
Yep. No, we were accommodating as best we could, given our own screw ups. So again,
never let's be said, we will not do the least we can do.
We never do the least we can do.
I can't unpack that. I'm sorry, my brain's broken.
Right, it's getting late. It's time to call it a night. We've gone through Operation SNAFU, and if there's anything else we have to cover, we'll cover it in another episode.
All right,
Pat, forget about it entirely. This is Operation SNAFU. Over and out. Night, guys.
Good night.
Night.
Good night, guys.
Now I'm getting very fond of me gas mask, I declare. It hardly ever leaves my side. I sling it on me back and I take it everywhere. It even comes to bed at night. It's been a real good pal to me, I must confess, and helped me out of many a mess. My sister had a lot of socks to mend, so she gave me a fat bouncing baby to tend. And when I felt it leaking at one end, well, I did what I could with me gas mask. I bought a farm because I like fresh air. At milking time I tried to do my share, and when I found the book it wasn't there. Well, I did what I could with me gas mask. The lady living next door, Mrs. X, she heard the sirens blow one morn at 10 to 6. She dashed outside in nothing but her nicks, but she knew what to do with the gas mask. By train I went for a very tiring ride. There wasn't any corridor outside, and when I felt the turning of the tide, well, I did what I could with my gas mask. To see old Epstein's Adam in the nude, I once thought I'd go with me Aunt Ermintrude. And when she sniffed and said, how very rude, still he knows what to do with his gas mask. For years I've courted Annabella Price, and always found her just as cold as ice, until one night the lass forgot her ma's advice. Then I did what I could with me gas mask.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Shazam. Yeah, why not?
I mean, I don't know. It's we said Operation SNAFU too. I don't know about that, but anyway, all right.
Is that like a detergent? Like
SNAFU? Shazam?
Yeah.
I thought it was a Shaq movie.
Well, yeah. It's a new movie coming out, too. I just saw a trailer for it.
A new Shazam? Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
I think this
Oh, it's
Uncle
going to
Man.
be awful. No,
No, that's a
close
different
enough. That was close. That's